Ladies and gentlemen, we're here at the Admirals' first playoff game in 10 years. All right, Ed Young, a dream has been made true in your life. What's your assessment so far of the action?
Love it. Absolutely love it. Waiting. I didn't want to see fights, but now I'm waiting for a fight. Love the Admirals and the fast-paced action. You got to come here.
Can they hang on and get the W to go 3-1?
We got this.
All right, there you heard it from him, ladies. Check you later.
This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
Good Saturday morning to all of you out there. Welcome to another edition of 757 Saturday Sports Talk with the Coach Ed Young. I am Matt Hatfield as we talk to you from the PLEX in Virginia Beach on this final Saturday of April 2024. I'm rocking the Cardinals gear. And how about those Norfolk Admirals, ladies and gents? Ed was clamoring for it last week on the show, and they did in their first home playoff game in a decade get the W, and victorious they were, getting the job done. Now a 3-1 series lead in Game 5 coming up tonight from the Norfolk Scope. How was your Admirals experience? Was it everything you had hoped and dreamed it would be?
It was close to everything. Admirals number one won. That's key. Though I am not big on hockey fights like most people are, as I always say, if I want to watch a fight, I will go to the boxing ring. But there was a couple situations. I'm going to have to learn the lingo a little bit better. Twice I yelled up and said, "Ref, come on, it's a foul." Called at both ends. Then I realized that was the wrong sport. So it's a little different. The crowd's a little different. Music is a little different. Atmosphere is tremendous. If you've not been to a hockey game, go tonight. If I didn't have a prior engagement, I would be there tonight. To
prior engagement? Wait, you're getting engaged?
No, that's definitely not happening. Now you
I thought you had some breaking news for us on the show.
Engagements for those folks that are blindly misled.
Blindly misled? Wait. Why do they have to be blindly misled?
A whole nother show.
No, we have time. We're only 2.5 minutes in. We have time. Go ahead.
And again, as my my agent lawyer, here he is. There's Vinny Vanu. Under contract to do certain things. He's got an eye on you. Most people are his IOU. He's got an eye on you to make sure things are done correctly.
He has an IOU. He has an eye on.
And in case anybody thinks we're wrong when we talk, the Magic 8 Ball has never been wrong. Was Matt Hatfield successful last night? Definitely not. He is not a Suns fan, and Craig Kimball is cut.
Dead to me, Craig.
He cut Craig Kimball, and I don't mean release.
In the ninth. You can see it before it happened, too.
With a knife.
Double to Rooker, walk to Blade. It blew up. Now, they got to extra innings because of a bad base running blunder by the A's, but the A's are much improved. I hate to say this because they were so bad last year. Mason Miller throws heat. He's a really good closer. I will say what is cool for Orioles and Tides fans, and we were out at Harbor Park on Friday night.
Went to go see got to see the Admirals Wednesday. Great experience. Went to go see the Tides last night.
And you'll see a couple clips of that. They had their championship ring, which you'll see from the great Heather McKeating, who was out there. Longtime employee for the Norfolk Tides, who's done so much for media relations, communications, does the store now at Harbor Park. Go check out some of the swag they have. But it is neat to see a lot of the homegrown talent, whether it's Mountcastle or Rushman or Henderson or fill in the blank that plays for this Orioles team, which is right there still atop the American League East with your Bronx Bombers, who took an L last night, by the way. You didn't want to talk about that, did you?
Oh, yeah.
To the Milwaukee Brew Crew.
As much as you got on Craig Kimball, Michael Tonkin was picked up from the Mets on waivers for the Yankees. Yeah. He's been cut 3 times by teams since
the
offseason. Yeah. Today will make number 4. He's gone. He is out of there. He's done. He lost to gave up the winning run. Yankees were up 1. He comes in and forget it. So he's gone. But Admirals and our Ties now somebody won't see helping the Orioles anytime soon. Jackson Holiday.
Yeah, he's coming back to Harbor Park.
Coming back to the Tides. hitting 059.
But I asked you this in the Ed Young limousine last night on our way to Harbor Park. Maybe we'll do a video show from Ed Young's limousine, by the way. I said, do you think this is a bad thing for the young players' confidence? You don't think so. You think it's a necessary evil in both respects, the big ball club, and then for him, even though he's a young kid. I always wondered, it's like rookie quarterbacks. You remember, I heard, and I'm wearing the Cardinals sweatshirt today to celebrate Marvin Harrison Jr. getting picked the best player in the draft by Mike Cards, fourth
I agree
overall.
with that one.
And by the way, we got coming up at 10:30 Eastern, approximately, Shane Hallam from Draft Countdown is going to join us to break down the draft. He gives thorough analysis of the NFL draft. He does a wonderful job on his website. Last week, we had Matt Miller of ESPN. We were privileged to get a great guest there. We also had Bob Rathbun of the Atlanta Hawks play-by-play voice to break down the NBA playoffs. If you missed any of that show, it's up on our Kova Sports TV YouTube channel. Like, share, and subscribe. You'll see all the great things we have for you online through YouTube, through Facebook, through Instagram, X, or Twitter, as some still call it, Apple and Spotify. You can get the show as well. And we're also hoping to connect, not promising, because they might have shoot-around practice this morning after the loss last night. Milwaukee Bucks play-by-play voice Dave Koehn used to be the play-by-play man at the University of Virginia. He's come on with us many a times on radio before, and he wants to come on. It's just a matter if and I can relate to this being with the Old Dominion women's team on the road, if his travel schedule and what they're doing, the team's doing, which he's their broadcaster, will allow him to do so. So we're going to hope to get Dave in the 11 o'clock hour. No promises or guarantees. But back to what I was saying, rookie quarterbacks, Kurt Warner once said when Eli Manning got lifted for him in a relief role during Eli's first year in New York when he was with the Giants after Kurt started with the Rams, he told Tom Coughlin in the franchise, don't ever do that again to the young kid. You want to keep him for his confidence. You don't feel the same is necessarily true with, say, a minor league, soon to be or back to be Major League Baseball player? What's your feeling on that as a coach with all your veteran years of experience and those 500 career wins, which are still in our background with the towel there next to Ed Young as awesome baby, says Dick Vitale on our wall there. What's your opinion, though? They give you the
first
moment.
of all, you gotta educate the young people about professional sports. You're gonna have a lot of ups and downs, not just physically from majors to minors, minors to majors in baseball, but more of a mental game. If you've got to produce to play, you got to produce to stay here. If you don't, you got to go back and find somebody else. Now, if you and yourself get down because it's just how you are, that's on you as a player. In Jackson Holliday's case, the good thing for Jackson is his dad, Matt Holliday, longtime major leaguer, early in his career, up and down. So he's going to educate him on that. He's going to make him understand. And then Jackson's going to have, I think, a fantastic career. Maybe even better than his dad. His dad made the All-Star team a few times, so he had a heck of a career. So he just have to understand when you're batting 059, to keep him up there and not play him. It would, to me, is worse. You're going to have to send him back, get him his at bats, get him playing regular, get his particular confidence better because he knows he can hit. Created number one minor leaguer in baseball. And I think he still will have that designation on him anyways, that you have to do that. Quarterback in NFL, there's nowhere to send you to get better. You go to the bench. And quarterback in the NFL, if you're not number one, unless number one gets hurt, you don't ever play. I don't care if you're up 40 down, 40. For the most part, you're not going to play. You're not getting snaps, a whole lot of snaps in practice. It's a little different situation in the NFL. But the bottom line is, at any level of sports, if you don't produce, you will sit until we find somebody can, and then when we come back to you, you'll get your chance. Athletes have to be made to understand that. And I think you have to sit down and talk with them. A lot of professional teams have sports psychologists on their staff. And that's one of the things they work with players is to make them understand it's not all peachy king here where it's always going to be great. You sign a $20 million deal, you're going to play every single day, take every single snap, no matter what you do. It's not how it works. You're going to have to produce. And I think Jackson Holliday will be okay. I know the Tides fans are excited to see him because they want to see him. But I know in his heart, he wants to get back up to the bigs. It's a whole lot different. Travel's different. Food is different. Everything's different at the big league. So I know he wants to get back.
Did you say Peachy King?
Peachy King is a phrase that was used once upon a time.
I thought it was peaches and cream.
No, that's That's the name of a rap group, I think. Peaches.
Rap group.
Yeah, it's one of them older rap groups. You got to look it up.
Peaches and Cream.
Everything we got to Google nowadays to make sure.
Peaches and Cream was a song by 112, but it's also Peachy King. I've never heard that one.
You got to get out more.
I do.
You got to.
I was out twice with you, and that's why I'm still recovering.
You're still watching. You can't be watching the events and smashing the TV and punching.
Didn't smash any TVs. I didn't do anything.
Putting holes in the wall.
Lies. That's not true. Why would you lie to our audience like that?
I don't tell lies. I tell truths.
No, you don't tell truths. You're telling lies.
Hey, how about the Falcons taking Michael Penix?
And you see that on the ticker right now. So we've got that. Now, we will talk about that with Shane coming up when he's scheduled to join us here in about 15 minutes.
You know, if the draft was only 4 picks, we would be perfect right now. You and I would.
Yeah. By the way, can we flash that on the screen? I think we can if you give me a moment. So people that didn't watch, we did a mock draft special on Cova Sports TV. We actually did it on IG Live leading up to the draft on Thursday night. We did it on Facebook. We did it the night after that night of the Admirals game, late in the evening and late in the night. You did it well until about 1:30, 2 a.m. when you lost track of things about pick 31, 32.
I think I drafted Bart Favre. What's his name?
Brett Favre.
Brett Favre. I drafted him.
Favre.
Yep. Buck Buchanan. I took, I think, with the 19th pick.
No. No. The only thing you messed up was you was trying to give the Niners a linebacker, and you gave them an interior offensive lineman twice at 31, which made me laugh later. But
we finished that draft, I think, at 1:44.
It was pretty late. Pretty late. Yeah.
And I had to get up at 2:00 for school, so that was a heck of a night.
Well, you put in the extra hours in the hard work. But as I try to share it on our screen here, and I think I can in just a moment. I have to find. Here we go. Mock drafts. Let's see tell me if you see it on our screen here. I have to zoom in. I'm quite sure.
It is coming up right now.
There we go. Let's zoom in a little. Well, people can see it. All right.
So the yellow is our good.
That's our good. So we got the top 4 right, which a lot of people did, by the way. And then I got number 12. But I'm blaming you here for screwing up our mock draft because I thought Malik Neighbors was going 6 to the Giants. I was ready to pick him. And then once you took him off of the board for me, I was forced to take Rome Odunze, who later went to 9. All goes off the board, who I was going to go, or you were going to have to go 7, as a lot of people did to the Titans. And it just went all haywire from there. I did get Bo Nix right at 12. And then I'm going to give you a half a point each for Brian Thomas at 23 and Xavier Worthy at 28. Don't worry. I know our man Nick Senti out there is watching. He's a Vikings fan. No, the Vikes did not take Brian Thomas 23rd. It ended up being
trade messed us up. The doggone trade.
You see there, the Jacksonville Jaguars took him at 23. And then Xavier Worthy did go 28, but he didn't go to the Buffalo Bills as you thought. He went to the Kansas City Chiefs instead. There's the mock draft as we have the 2 different tabs. So you get half a point, which, by the way, that means you got 4 right technically to my 3, I guess you could say.
I won again, people. I won again. But you'll find some way to screw it up.
I did say on the show the loser would give the other $100,000. So we're working on that today diligently. We're going to make sure you get your $100,000. I don't know how, where, you're going to get I'll tell you what. By next week's show, I hope to have $100,000 for you.
Sure.
How about that?
I believe when I see it.
No, we're going to get you. I'm a
Monopoly Monday.
I am a man of my word. I didn't say Monopoly Monday. I will get you $100,000. I will get you $100,000. I'm a man of my word. It's my obligation. I'll own up to it, even though technically you should get half a point. We should be tied. I'm a man of my word. I will get you $100,000. Right, now I can't get you a basketball coaching job, which right now you're still a free agent, ladies and gents. Anybody out there wondering where Ed Young's going to coach next? And I have people asking me left and right. Like, I know they think I'm your agent. I can't after your illustrious 20-year career, 19-season career at Nansman River, with many of those 500-plus victories coming in Suffolk with the Warriors. I can't tell folks if Ed Young will be coaching college ball somewhere. I know Perna School's open, by the way. Regent just filled its coaching job, though, right? Regent just hired a coach from Texas, right? Mike
sure
Allen,
did.
Athletic director, used to be at Perna School and Norfolk Christian as the AD and coach. I can't promise if any high school jobs in the area that are open will be Ed Young's next destination, but I will get you your $100,000. I will be a man of my word.
Well, I'll take 50. How about, I forgot to ask Nick this earlier. Correct me if I'm wrong, which is not a lot. Minnesota made a trade with the Jets, correct?
Minnesota made a trade with the Jets, yes.
To move up one spot.
That is correct. To get JJ McCarthy. And if you listen to Sean Payton, the feeling is, and I think Nick might be coming in to answer, give us that answer. The feeling is they snookered him they baited him into taking McCarthy, thinking the Broncos might try to move up and make that deal.
So that's why they only moved up to one
That's what the word is. That's what the word is. They snookered him.
They thought Denver was going to move up.
Yeah, they snookered him. But they knew they went to Bo Nix the whole time, which is what I had mock projected. But then you mess up the whole mock draft. You shouldn't get $100,000. You should be giving me $100,000.
It's Minnesota that messed up the draft because somehow out of this, my Raiders got.
You didn't get Michael Penix. You didn't get Michael Penix.
I was going to say, but in the mock draft, I didn't give Penix to the Raiders.
Yeah.
I was basically trying to snooker everybody else by saying, well, we don't want him.
Yeah.
He'll be available in the second
That's
round.
what you
we'll
did.
Get him.
Uh-huh.
And we didn't do that because actually, I guess the real culprits of the draft was Atlanta selecting Penix at number 8.
Yes.
Now that's all you're hearing of how stupid were they and why. And Kirk Cousins was upset, and which I don't have any idea why he would be upset. That blew my mind when I heard he was like frazzled by the whole thing.
How about my Cardinals getting a second pick too? They got Darius Robinson from Missouri. Our man Derek Fulgham out there. Do you think Willie Drew?
I hope.
Now, for those who don't know, Willie Drew ended his career in the CIAA playing at Division II Virginia State. He started out his career with the Dukes of JMU. He out of Smithfield High School, by the way, Willie Drew. We had on the show last week Matt Miller of ESPN. I should have asked him about Willie Drew, not just Tavion Robinson from Cox High School in Virginia Beach, who he has as a 7th round undrafted grade. And he gave a great breakdown of Tavion, who's a slot receiver type. Willie Drew, though, it's going to be interesting to see what the mocks have in store. He's a defensive back. I think he's rated higher on our guy Shane's board. We got Shane coming up on the show later. I think he's got him. If I can pull it up now while we'll have to stop.
His number, if I remember, 50th.
I think that's right.
Number 50 at the cornerback spot.
I think that's right. I think he was like 243rd, and Tavion like had a 302 or a 290 grade. But I think he could find his way in the 6th, 7th round. I think it's very possible. And by the way, I don't know if you heard the story. He actually almost didn't get his invite because they sent it to the wrong email. He's one of the TV stations put that out right with his combine email. Oh, our guy Bob Lanham out there just got back from a sawmill in Louisa.
Oh my!
Very interesting.
Bob,
hanging out with sawmills.
Stay away from sawmills, Bob.
Hey, Bob.
Lose fingers. Don't do that.
Hey, by the way, Bob's been getting some of the great photos. We've been splashing them on VirginiaPreps.com. If you do a search, matter of fact, it's BobLimages.com. Go buy some photos out there, all you parents. He was out there at the state tournament. He takes pictures of everything. Basketball, football, soccer, volleyball, you name it. And he got this great photo. Look there's Ed Young there pointing at the camera. That was at the state tournament. So kudos to Bob. He's one of the very, very best in the business taking the photos out there. And look, he still has all his fingers.
Good job, Bob. Just stay away from sawmills. That makes me nervous. Bob could get all over there. And Bob with his look at his studious look. His tie, hair's all. I can't. That Bob Lanham scares me.
Why does he scare you?
He's professional. The one with all over the place.
He's professional.
Hat on backwards, camera around his neck. That's the sideline Bob. This one here is like, studious Bob on this one here. But I tell you what, chicks are digging him. Chicks are digging that look.
Well, Bob is a big Cleveland Browns fan who did not have a first-round selection. You know who else is a Cleveland Browns fan we ran into last night was Bill Brennan. We love Bill, longtime assistant basketball coach in there. He helped out Taft Tickman at Kempsville first, and he helped out at Tall with Tom Gonzalez for a little bit. But he's a big Browns fan. I know he's hoping they make it. He made a comment to us too. He thought the Steelers did a good job in the draft. They made some nice moves.
Steelers have done well.
They get an offensive tackle that helps them out from Washington, Troy Fontenot. I'll be curious to see who Shane's got with the highest grades thus far, with the rounds 1 through 3 already in the books.
I had the Steelers taking a lineman, but I just had the wrong one.
I don't know that there's any other prospects that I can think of off the top of my head, not just beyond the 757, maybe the 804 Northern Virginia in this year's draft. It feels like it's a deep draft, but for us in the Commonwealth, we don't have as many names we're watching because usually we would always wake up on Sunday saying, all right, we got 4, 5, 6, 7 guys getting off the boards. I remember the years where you'd have not just from the 757, like a Josh Sweat who got picked from Oscar Smith with the Eagles, a Jalen Holmes from Lake Taylor who got picked, fill in the blank, this guy getting picked. I remember up in Northern Virginia, like an Orrin Brooks from South County would get picked. We don't have as many of those names getting picked in this year's NFL draft, unless we see Drew and or Robinson go off the board in the later rounds, which I would think wouldn't happen until 6th round at the earliest, 7th round before it expires and you're an undrafted pick somewhere.
Well, what happens when guys start dropping into the 7th round? Some teams will take gambles that they won't be picked, and then they sign them immediately with free agent contracts. I think could happen to both Drew and Robinson. I think both those guys might be intriguing as potential kick returners for a team. So you're gonna get them more than just their position. But unless somebody really needs them, don't take them in the 7th round. But a lot of times guys will wait until try to stash them, and then getting 2 for the price of 1. And most guys in basketball, if you don't get drafted, 1st round, middle up to the middle of 2nd round, it's better to be a free agent because more people will want you, have your pick, maybe say a little bit more about your money. And I would imagine that would be the same thing in the NFL. If you're a free agent and there's 2 or 3 teams after you, maybe you could swagger a little bit more money out of them in terms of what a free agent would get. But I'm hoping for Drew and Robinson's sake that they do get drafted, and if not, at least get the opportunity to come in camp, which I think that's without a doubt they'll be in somebody's camp.
Before we take a break, I want to get your take on something outside of the football draft here in a moment with the college basketball in the portal. Were you at all surprised that we did have 6 go in the top 12? That was a lot, more than ever. I mean, the last time you had 6 quarterbacks was that famous 83 draft with Elway and Marino, and who can forget Todd Blackledge, who's on TV. I thought there might be 5 or 6 in the first round. I didn't think they would go boom, 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 that domino effect where McCarthy ended up going 10, and then just 2 picks later, Nix is the last one at 12. And now there's been no quarterbacks taken rounds 2 and 3. Will there be one today in the 4th round? Well, we'll find out. We do have that as part of our buy or sell questions later in the show, not to give it away or spoil it. But so stay tuned for that before we sign off around 12 noon Eastern today. Were you at all surprised that it was that many? And we had no defensive players taken until literally the first defensive player off the board was Latu, the edge man from UCLA at 15th to the Colts.
Well, 6 out of 12, the first 12 picks quarterbacks, unheard of. But it really goes to show how bad it is. Bob has a undrafted free agents get more than a 7th round pick.
Yeah,
true. And that's what I'm saying. It might be just better to be a free agent.
For sure. But your point, though, you're going to.
Bob's a good guy. Tony Eason.
Oh, yeah, he was part of that draft. Remember that? 83. Yeah. Some big names in the 80s back then, not just Marino and Elway, but they were at the forefront because of what they accomplished. Go ahead.
Well, again, and it's not that this is not earth-shattering. What I'm going to say is the fact that NFL quarterbacks, it's hard to find decent, especially after the number 1 guy goes down with injury. And I think I heard it on the way in about, I don't know, was it 50-some guys took snaps last year in the NFL. And again, I look at this and say the problem to me is why don't we work more with these backup quarterbacks? Why are they not getting more of a shot so that now when you have to go to them, they can play? But I think the guys that got drafted now, look at the 6 guys. How many of those 6 are going into camp as the number 1 guy? We know Penix in Atlanta is not. He's off. Bo Nix has a shot. Definitely has a shot. J.J. McCartney, I think it was a great pick for Minnesota because he really doesn't. He has the right people around him. Because if you're a good quarterback, rookie quarterback, and you get picked by a bad team that does not have good line strength, doesn't have weapons, you're not going to play well either. You can't throw the ball to yourself, can't protect yourself. So you look at those 6 quarterbacks. Who's going into camp with the idea that they got to play? Obviously, with the first pick. Okay, well, not only are they hoping Williams is starting, but he's going to be rookie of the year. Jaden Daniels, Washington is thinking, he's going to be the savior for the franchise.
Yeah.
So those guys are going to get first crack. There's no doubt about it. But how many times do people say you don't win a Super Bowl with a rookie quarterback? It's going to take time to develop.
Well, let's be honest, too. Of those 6, you're going to have literally in that mixture, I dare say you're going to have, of the 6, probably half of them end up panning out, other half not. And there's going to be 2 major busts that we talk about almost in that same category of like a Ryan Leaf or a Cade McNown or an Achilles Smith.
Jamar Russell.
Don't last long at all. Yeah, Jamarcus Russell. There's another one. So that's inevitable. I mean, it's just it is what it is. So I feel like the crazy thing is no running backs go at all in the first round. You were high on getting a linebacker from Texas A&M, Cooper. No linebackers unless you call those outside backers edge guys. But in terms of interior linebackers, those inside linebackers, they don't go. And it's the premiums put on, like I think it's said on our mock draft special, the premiums put on the quarterbacks, the playmaking receivers who can cover and blanket those big-time receivers and who can be those edge guys that get after the quarterback, those game-changing positions. Then your offensive tackles, because there's always, if you have a big offensive tackle, you can work it from the inside out in the trenches to build your team. And a lot of people upset about the Dallas Cowboys. They end up going down and take Tyler Guyton from Oklahoma. They felt Jerry should have addressed some other spots on that team. But before we go to break here and bring in Shane Hallam, I wanted to hit on this with you last week real quickly, and we'll have probably more time to dive into this. So do a little quick, I just want a quick reaction, not a long, lengthy Ed Young rant here. It was said last week that Duke had 8 players go in the transfer portal for men's college basketball, which is no shot because everybody's got players going to the portal, except it's Duke that has literally 3/4 of its roster go in the portal. Did that at all, you as a veteran coach who you're getting ready to chuckle over there, did that all surprise you or did not surprise you?
No, it's the way it is now. It's not a surprise. Calipari leaves Kentucky. Every Kentucky scholarship player went in the portal because 3 or 4 of them are going to end up at Arkansas. It doesn't surprise me that Duke lost some kids in there.
But that many, though, the quantity
does not surprise me. Anything involving the portal does not surprise. It's the biggest joke in college sports because football does it too. We've opened the door and the inmates are running wild. It needs to be harnessed. These kids are jumping in the portal without proper guidance for whatever reason. Why would a kid from Duke who's played well, started, getting his education, jump in the portal and look for another school? It makes no sense. And it's not that Shiver's running them off either, because sometimes that's how kids used to leave schools with new coaches coming in and telling a kid, look, I don't have any plans for you in this program. We're going to recruit over you. So the kid leaves. Or you had to leave because your character became questioned. You're not going to class, whatever. Now it's just a joke where college coaches have to spend a majority of their time in the offseason recruiting their own kids. That should never have to happen. I'm tired of hearing it's free enterprise. Well, everybody else can do it. And the idea about kids getting paid. I'm sorry. Yeah, call me old all you want. It's caused.
We'll call you Young because your last name is Young.
And it's not going to change because it's too late to change the rule.
Well, they want to get sued at this point.
Well, and again, I keep saying about sue. You can sue all you want. Let's go to court. Doesn't mean you're going to win.
Well, it means NCAA could be. I mean, they're already going to owe through the nose.
Well, the NCAA has gotten weak in terms of enforcing. And then they'll say, well, we try to enforce, but nobody listens. And as I said, the NCAA, as we know it, pretty soon will no longer exist. Those power teams, those 2 conferences.
Could be right.
40 teams. They're going to have their own association. Why would they have to be associated with the NCAA? Sure. All you need is TV money, TV contracts, and make sure you sell all your luxury box, whatever. You don't need all that. You don't need these rules from the NCAA. I've always said it. Why would Alabama follow rules that Troy State has to follow in their own state? Mm-hmm. It makes no sense. Troy State has no shot at winning the national title ever.
Well, there's really only the playoff, there'll be maybe, I was going to say 5 to 6, but probably 8 to 12 that ultimately do. We're going to take a timeout. Coming up next, we've got a special guest. He is the guru when it comes to breaking down the NFL draft, and you can find his work on draftcountdown.com. That's Draft Countdown. Follow that X page or Twitter page. Shane Hallam will join us after the timeout right here on Cova Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're also on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all over the web. We'll hear from some of the sponsors and be back with Shane to break down the draft right here on Cova Sports TV. Stay tuned.
Get ready for a season of thrills and excitement. Virginia Beach United invites you to experience the adrenaline of USL League 2 Pro Soccer. Tickets are only $10 for adults, $7 for kids, and children 5 and under are free. It's the perfect family outing filled with fun and entertainment. Secure your seats now for a season of unforgettable soccer moments with Virginia Beach United. Don't miss out.
I grew up here. I know this town. I know the people here. More important, They know me. As a banker at Town Bank, we become part of the communities we serve. The people who bank with us, our members, know us. When you bank with Town Bank, you'll know your banker. You'll know you can reach us, and you'll know we're here for you.
Welcome back to 757 Sports Talk. No, it's not in the pool. It's Hatfield and Young at the PLEX, the Virginia Beach Sportsplex. Here are two guys that, even though they never shut up, they're always dropping pearls of wisdom. Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
Back here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel with Cova Sports TV, and wherever you're tuning in, we thank you for doing so. At this time, Ed, we have a special guest with us. He's joined us in the past on the radio side of things, and now here on the podcast. He does fantastic work breaking down the NFL draft inside and out. DraftCountdown.com is the website. Shane Hallam, so kind to join us. Shane, you get much rest the last couple of days?
Like a couple hours of sleep. That's enough here, but it's been exciting, watching the draft and having all the work from this year pay off.
Well, and you're a big timer because I saw the other day you were on BBC News, so you're going worldwide with this NFL draft analysis and breakdown. The first thing is, you see, I'm an Arizona Cardinals fan wearing my sweatshirt right here. I'm ecstatic about Marvin Harrison Jr., the Ohio State wide receiver, son of the former NFL Pro Bowler, getting picked by the Bird Gang, and I also got Darius Robinson later on the draft, first round edge rusher from Missouri. Who would you say has hit it out of the park the best? Give me one or two, three teams that you would say through 3 rounds, there's still 4 through 7 to come, you would give passing grades A to A+ so far has impressed you the most at this point.
I think the Philadelphia Eagles have had a great draft. They took my cornerback 1 in Quinyon Mitchell out of Toledo at pick 22. I thought was an absolute steal. I think he's a stud, number 1 corner in the league. And then they move up in the second round, take Cooper DeJean, who I had rated as a first-round pick, safety corner hybrid. They hit their biggest need, addressed it. I think their draft was absolutely phenomenal. I really like as well, what we saw from the Jacksonville Jaguars. I thought they were intriguing. They got Brian Thomas Jr. after trading down, getting picks. They took another LSU player, Mason Smith, who's a 5-star, absolute upside player. And Jerrion Jones, the corner they got in the 3rd round, I think is an intriguing fit for them. And then I have to say the Pittsburgh Steelers. They hit the O-line. You know what they're going to do. They're going to run the ball, run it down your throat. Took 2 ass kickers and Troy Fatanu from Washington, Zach Frazier from West Virginia. And then in round 3, took a pair of Wilsons. Roman Wilson, the receiver from Michigan, I thought should have been a 2nd rounder. Great slot receiver, similar to Deontay Johnson, who they got rid of. And then Peyton Wilson was my linebacker 2, 4.3 speed, just an absolute monster leader. So Steelers hitting the needs and getting value and getting great players. I thought all 3 of those drafts were very good.
And if you've got a question for Shane while we have him on with us, you can drop us a comment through our YouTube channel, through Facebook, through Instagram, through X, Twitter, if you will, while we have him here on the program with us on Cova Sports TV, Ed.
Hey, Shane, great to have you on. Matt and I did great in our mock draft if they only stayed with 4 picks, the first 4 picks were 500. We got them all right. And then different things happened. I thought Minnesota's trade made some different things. Of course, everybody's talking about Denver taking Michael Penix at quarter.
Falcons
the Falcons. I'm sorry, the Falcons. 2 questions for you. That first round, let's look hard at the first round. I don't think the pick by Atlanta was bad. We know Kirk Cousins is a guy that's going to be the leader. But should they have taken much more need than a get their backup quarterback ready for that one? And the second one I want you to address is my team. I'm excited about it, though I thought it would never happen. The Raiders getting Brock Bowers. Those 2 situations, if you would.
So Atlanta, I think it's interesting. I mean, I had Michael Penix rated as a high second rounder. I think he has the arm, but with multiple ACL tears in his career, he's not a player. Despite running a 4.5 at his pro day, he's not someone that's going to run. He ran for 8 yards this season. He struggled. We saw in the national championship, struggles under pressure. To me, 8 was just way too high to bank on that. I don't mind taking a quarterback. You think, hey, this guy is a stud, but he's older. He's 24 years old. So let's say you have 2 years of Kirk Cousins. Now you get Michael Penix. He's 26, and he only has 2 years left before you got to make a decision on his fifth-year option. I think it's just going to be a tough situation when Atlanta's in a position, I think, to be a contender if Kirk Cousins is good. And so instead of helping this team, you're looking at 2 or 3 years down the line. It was a little bit intriguing to me. If it works out, if Penix is great, then who cares? Jordan Love, like in Green Bay, he's working out. It's going to be worth it. But to me, you have a top 10 pick. You could have taken a stud pass rusher. I think Brock Bowers in Vegas, I think it's a great pick. I mean, people say, oh, he drafted Michael Mayer last year. Well, Michael Mayer is going to play in line. Brock Bowers is essentially a slot receiver like we're seeing out of Dalton Kincaid, who the Bills drafted last year despite having Dawson Knox. Similar situation. You're going to put Bowers in this slot. You're going to put him and let him run jet sweeps. He had multiple rushing touchdowns in college. I think Brock Bowers is a monster. I had him as top 10 player in this draft. So for the Raiders, if you're going to support your run game where he can block, you're going to support the short passing game, you have a lot of options that are going to be tough to cover. I thought it was a great pick.
Shane, were you at all surprised that the Jets, I know they got an offensive tackle in the offseason with Smith, who was rated the number 1 offensive lineman, and when healthy, we knew how great he is, offensive lineman in the sport. Were you surprised they took another offensive lineman to bolster that protection for Aaron Rodgers as opposed to taking Brock Bowers when they moved down a spot there at 11? Or did you think, you know what, they did need the offensive line need?
I was a little bit surprised that they didn't take a pass catcher to support Aaron Rodgers. We saw 2019. I think it's been 5 years since he's played in every game. So you're not banking on Tyron Smith being the starter for the entire season. This allows Olufashanu to kind of get prepared, get ready to go, and kind of bump up. So I think it's interesting to me what the Jets did, because I think it was their biggest need. I think Fashanu was my number 2 offensive tackle in this draft. I think it's a great pick, and I'd rather have the O-line and deal with receiver later than take Brock Bowers, get the receiving options, and then you're scrambling for a guy that may not be able to play, and Aaron Rodgers gets hit again, gets hurt again, and season's over once again.
Fair point. We're talking with Shane Hallam of Draft Countdown with us here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel with Cova Sports TV, Ed.
Shane, obviously, the elephant in the room, 6 first-round quarterbacks taken. The need is immense for a lot of these teams, and these guys will start. Give us your assessment, if you would. We know we just already talked. You really don't have to talk about Penix. You already mentioned him. The other 5 guys, are they going to start? They're going to struggle. They're going to come start as backups. Maybe Matt and I talked about this earlier. Potential bust will probably go the way of some of those guys in the past. Your assessment maybe on the 5, because you've already told us about Penix.
So Caleb Williams, everyone had number 1. Obviously, he's going to start from day 1. I think the Bears are supporting him well. You traded for DJ Moore last year. You brought in Keenan Allen. They drafted Rome Odunze at 9 overall. They have a solid offensive line, maybe not great. Brought in DeAndre Swift. I like that situation where Caleb Williams, who I think is excellent, he's the 3rd highest quarterback I've ever graded since I started this in 2004. I think he's almost bust proof. Doesn't mean he's going to be a Hall of Famer, but I think he's at least going to be a solid quarterback where you have that structure. I think the rest of the quarterbacks all have bustability. I don't think any of them are guaranteed to be the guy. Jaden Daniels for Washington, super intriguing. Maybe the best college football season ever for a player last year with the way that he ran, threw the ball for touchdowns, the deep passing, the rushing's there, but you want to clean up that technique and some of the short passing that Washington does in the Cliff Kingsbury offense. I think it's intriguing. I think he will succeed, but I'm not sure maybe he's going to hit the heights of his upside. I think Drake May to the Patriots is a tough situation. I like Drake May. He's big. He can run. He's got the arm strength. He's someone who had to carry that team on his back and will his way to victory. I think he's a really tough and smart player. But the structure in New England, I mean, their offense is barren. And even with spending a pick on Jalen Polk, the receiver out of Washington, I think Drake May's going to have a tough time if he has to start. I would hope they would sit him behind Jacoby Brissett for a little bit, recognize this year's not your year. Don't ruin this quarterback. The Bo Nix pick at 12 for Denver, I think was absurdly high. And I don't think Bo Nix is a bad player, but we saw what he did at Auburn when at first in college. He was awful. I mean, one of the worst 5-star quarterbacks I've seen step in college football and play, and then went to a structure at Oregon that really worked with his talents, which is what you should do with your quarterback, where he can run, he can throw a lot of screen passes, he can do some play action to throw deep, a good run game to support him, good up front. I think Bo Nix is a very smart, safe thrower of the football. But to me, I don't think he's been playing the shotgun the whole time. He doesn't quite have the footwork down. He doesn't always drive it. He barely faced any pressure in college. And when he did, he broke down. I just think there's so much unknown with him. Taking him at 12, you're setting him up for failure. Now you traded away Jerry Jeudy. Cortland Sutton may be on the move today. I think Denver is not a place where I would want to reach on a quarterback and have succeed. Once again, I don't know if they can sit him. I mean, Jared Stidham and Zach Wilson aren't exactly the best quarterbacks, but Bo Nix also, I think, needs some time.
One of our tweeters wants to know, Barry, in fact, says, ask Shane, what does he make of the whole Colts situation? I'm guessing he didn't go in depth here. For those that haven't seen it, the general manager, Chris Ballard, went off on anonymous sources overnight, tearing Texas wide receiver Adonai Mitchell for character concerns. Mitchell was those players that was on that first, second round bubble grade there. And he said, quote, put your name on it. We tear these young men down. It's crap. This is a good kid, end quote. And there was a lot of expletives that followed and preceded some of that there, Shane. What do you make of the whole Colts situation and Mitchell? And it almost brings me back to years ago when you remember the whole, who was Mel Kiper with that quarterback pick in the 90s, if you recall that one, infamous clip.
Yeah, look, I mean, these coaches and GMs do a ton of work, and these players make a ton of money. I mean, I appreciate Chris Ballard. He's a super sharp GM and does a lot on the analytics side as well as the character and play side. And so I'm glad he's backing it up. I love seeing some of the fire that comes out. But look, there's a lot of people that are going to criticize. These are now millionaires that are in the public. I'm not an AD Mitchell fan. I felt the same as those scouts that he's a lazy player a lot, and that doesn't mean that he's not going to succeed or that AD Mitchell's not going to be. He is a great fit for what the Colts do, and they love that athleticism. But if it's motivation for Ballard, for the Colts, for Mitchell to go out there and do better, then great. Utilize that. But I'm not sure. Ripping people in a public forum is going to help you do better at your job or do better in terms of success. And these aren't kids. They're 21, 22, 23, 24, some 26 years old. Like it's time you're doing this for a living professionally, then you got to take some criticism, as we all do in our jobs.
Shane, a spot on the on this draft that I thought was big, and if I'm going to err, this is where I don't want to err. The offensive line. Because of the quarterback situation, I thought the offensive line came under the radar this year. But even if you're drafting a quarterback, or you already have a quarterback, or you got somebody like Aaron Rodgers who's coming back off injury, almost 40 years old, if not 40, you better have an offensive line. Assess, again, let's just stay with first round right now, because there was a lot of good ones taken. How did it look with the offensive lineman in the first round? Who got a steal, who's well, and maybe somebody they reached a little bit?
So I think the top offensive tackle, Joe Alt, who was projected to go top 10, going 5 to the Chargers is interesting to me because the Chargers have a franchise left tackle. They have Rashawn Slater, who was a first-round pick, has played really well. So the question is, do you move Slater to right tackle? Do you move Alt, who hasn't played right tackle in college, to right tackle? It's great having those two bookends. I think it's good for Justin Herbert. It's good for the run game, which they want to do. It's good value, but I'm intrigued by the fit. I think the one reach for me, and I'm kind of on an island here with this, was J.C. Latham, the tackle out of Alabama, going 7 to the Tennessee Titans. I think J.C. Latham's solid. You watch his film. He doesn't do things wrong. He's big. He has the arm length. He's using it appropriately, but he's just so passive. I want to see someone. I want to see a kick somebody's ass, and J.C. Latham refuses to do that. He just doesn't have that huge upside. He gets beat inside by some of these more athletic, smarter edge rushers who know how to use a variety of moves. Tends too high for me. He was my offensive tackle 5. I thought he was, he was dropped down a bit. We talked about Olufashanu for the Jets, but I think Talise Fuaga, the tackle that the Saints took, he's someone who's super tough, very experienced, great footwork, and he'll knock you down and keep going. At Oregon State, he sprang a ton of big runs for them, and I think that's where the Saints are probably going to go this year, right? Running with Alvin Kamara and Kendre Miller. Amarius Mims for the Bengals, the tackle from Georgia. I think that could be the steal of this draft. He is one of the best athletes to ever work out of the position. Massive, long, did not give up a sack in college, but pretty inexperienced. He had a couple injuries that shortened the last 2 seasons for him. So what you saw on film was a top 10 pick worthy, but there wasn't a ton of it. And I think that, to me, that's okay. I'm going to take a shot here. I'll take a shot on the upside. I also like Jordan Morgan, the tackle that the Packers took at 25. Shorter arm guy, but he's super athletic. He went up against Leitu Latu, the edge rusher from UCLA that the Colts took earlier, and dominated him in their game this season. So I think Morgan showed on film that he can handle big-time pass rushers. But I like Tyler Guyton, who the Cowboys took. It's a good fit, a little bit raw, but fits them. Troy Fatanu for the Steelers. Like I said, I thought that was a potential steal and a really good fit for them. So, and Graham Barton, the guard center out of Duke, going to play guard apparently for the Buccaneers. He was a tackle that's moving inside that I think has a lot of the functional strength and the bend that you want for maybe a guard that can pull out and help Rachaad White in that run game. So a first round filled with offensive line talent. This is a really strong class. And I think they all have a lot of potential. There's a couple that need developed a little bit. But ultimately, I think that's the way to go in the first round. If you don't have an O-line, it's going to be really hard for your offense to be successful.
Check out draftcountdown.com for everything on the NFL draft. They've got mock drafts. They've got rankings, news, and notes. Shane and his team do a fantastic job. 2 more minutes here with him before we let him run. We appreciate the time here on Cova Sports TV, 757 Saturday Sports Talk. I want to hit on a local angle from us here in the state of Virginia with a couple of prospects. We don't have as many as we've had in years past, with the 757 being such a fertile area that's produced such legends like Bruce Smith and Michael Vick, among many, many others. Lawrence Taylor also coming to mind. But for rounds 2 and 3, couple of names that you like the fits and see them having instant impact, Shane, being contributors right away. And then for round 4 or 5 here today on day 3 of the draft, maybe a few names that you see as breakthrough players, sleepers that were probably higher on your board that slipped into this day 3 that you like. Give us a couple names from yesterday that you're high on, where they fit, and then for today we should watch out for.
From yesterday, I think there's a number of great fits. I love day 2. I think it's really where you can get some of the steals this draft. I really like Enos Rakestraw, the cornerback out of Missouri, going to the Lions around 2. They traded up for Terrion Arnold, the corner out of Alabama, in round 1. And then around 2, come back and take Rakestraw. That's their biggest need. Terrion Arnold's a guy in the first round who plays the ball, gets the interceptions. Rakestraw doesn't do that, but, man, he covers you. He blankets you. They got to cover Justin Jefferson. I like that fit. I think there's a couple intriguing small school guys that went yesterday. Jalix Hunt for the Philadelphia Eagles out of Houston Christian, dominated at the Senior Bowl in Mobile in February, and he's a player that's long, explosive, just a ton of upside that the Eagles, I think, get the most out of. And Kieran Megaji from Yale, an offensive tackle that the Bears drafted in the 3rd round, had an injury this year, but he's someone that just looked like a man amongst boys playing in the Ivy League. He's just knocking guys over at every single play. So, I love that, because I think when you're a small school player, then you have to really show every play that you are absolutely dominant. For today, I think day 3, we do have a lot of steals. I mean, my favorite player, a guy that everyone's surprised has dropped, is Troy Franklin, the wide receiver out of Oregon, 3rd-year player. Deep threat was the go-to for Bo Nix. But I think there's a couple others I like. Cedric Gray, the linebacker out of North Carolina, rock solid, good technique, good tackler. I think he'll be a starter in the NFL. Jaden Hicks, the safety out of Washington State, should have went yesterday. Just versatile. He can cover. He can hit you. I love those two-way safeties. And then I think we see a big running back go today. Jalen Wright, the running back out of Tennessee. Every single touchdown he had this season was over 50 yards. That's a home run threat that a lot of these teams value.
Yeah, I'm with you 100% on Franklin. I'm surprised he made it to day 3. I thought he could even maybe sneak into the early middle part of second, but even I didn't think great talent-wise he was that far off from being a late first rounder. There's a couple of names you may not be super well entrenched or well versed with, but they're from our area, from the state of Virginia. We've got a Division II defensive back that went to Smithfield High School, Virginia State, started out at James Madison, Willie Drew, and then a wide receiver from Kentucky, started out his high school career at Cox High School in Virginia Beach, played for Virginia Tech before transferred to Kentucky, Tavion Robinson. Do you have either Willie Drew or Tavion Robinson getting picked in the 6th or 7th round? I know it might be a reach for both of those guys. What do you think?
No, I have Willie Drew as a draftable prospect. He's my 234th player on my board. So just kind of sneaking in from Virginia State. I was a big fan of his play this season because I think he has that athleticism, 4.4 speed, and you see some physicality at the line of scrimmage, which you don't always see at the Division II schools because you can play off if you have the athletic ability. I think Drew's a nice developmental corner. Maybe can play some special teams. I think he's very intriguing. Tavion Robinson is a player I liked a lot at Virginia Tech. I think he'll probably be a priority free agent. He's 345th on my big board. So definitely someone's going to get signed after the draft. I love the slot ability, really good hands, sharp route runner. Just did not really work out at Kentucky this year because of the system. I didn't think really fit his talents where they were having him do a lot of outside work that wasn't there. So I think it hurts him, but I do think it's a player that could be a better pro than we saw at Kentucky this past season.
There you go. In-depth good stuff there from Shane. Got a final one for us, Ed?
Shane, I got to ask. We don't talk about them much, but come the NFL, they can win or lose a game, and the pressure's on. Punters,
kickers,
place kickers.
I knew you were going there.
Who out there? We saw nobody in the first round. Don't think anybody went in the second. Is there anybody out there that's going to get drafted, or are those guys going to hope for free agent contracts?
That's a good one outside the box.
Yeah, I think we got a couple that are going to get drafted today. Torrey Taylor out of Iowa is an exceptional punter. He's an older prospect, but I mean, you watch his punts booming. He has great control, can corner kick. I think the range is 4th to 7th. Maybe falls out because he's a punter, but if I was a team in the 4th or 5th round, I think Torrey Taylor's a difference maker in today's NFL. He's my best. He's my favorite special teams player. But I do think we could have 3 kickers drafted. I like Joshua Carty out of Stanford. Big, very accurate kicker. He doesn't have that big leg. He's not going to hit the 60-yarder, but that 40 to 50 range, he's money. Had a lot of big-time kicks at Stanford when they were in games, end of games, winning it for him. Cameron Little out of Arkansas is younger. He has a little bit more of the big leg. He can get you the distance, though not as consistent with hitting those field goals. Going to be a really good kickoff guy for this new kickoff system as well on the returns. Then Will Reichert from Alabama is a player who long career, solid kicker. I think sometimes that reliability is what teams are going to draft him on. And then Harrison Mevis out of Missouri, I think will be undrafted, but he's one of my favorites because of the kickoff ability. I mean, he can boom the ball. His accuracy is all over the place, the field goals sometimes, but he's someone that you're going to try out, at the very least gets a tryout and maybe could impress and end up in the NFL.
Perfect. Hey, we got one more from one of our fans on Facebook and watch viewers. AJ Risser, our man AJ, wants to know on Facebook, grade for the Ravens so far. What do you think of the Ravens who got Nate Wiggins in the first there, Shane?
Well, every year the Ravens get an A. Like every year, they just take the value, let it fall to them. Nate Wiggins, the corner out of Clemson, is a top 20 player in this draft. They get him at 30, a little smaller than the Ravens usually like. But Wiggins, he won't tackle you, but he'll cover you. He'll make a big play. He'll score a touchdown. I also like Roger Rosengarten, the tackle they got in the second round out of Washington. He had a really bad national championship game. It was awful, but the rest of the season was phenomenal at that right tackle spot. So I think he's going to be good for the outside run game for them, and he has some athleticism to move to the edge. So when Lamar Jackson starts scrambling, Roger Rosengarten is going to be good there. And I like their round 3 pick. Adisa Isaac out of Penn State could be a stand-up linebacker, edge rusher, put his hand in the dirt, big athleticism, little inconsistent, but the type of Ravens pass rusher they like to just rotate in, keep you fresh, and I think that's what Isaac can do.
Yeah, looks like the AFC North teams did pretty well. Well, we thank you so. Oh, you got another one, Ed? Here we go. He'll keep you all day here, Shane. Go ahead.
Yeah, Shane, when I was thinking about those kickers and punters, right as you started talking, I didn't want to interrupt you. Long snappers, something back in the day we never thought about. Anybody can hike the ball, but we found out that's not true. What are we looking at for specifically long snappers?
Yeah, so I don't think we're gonna get one drafted. Maybe my top guy, Peter Bowden out of Wisconsin, has maybe a shot at the 7th round for a team that really wants a long snapper. He, looking at the snaps, especially for field goals, he was probably the quickest that I saw in terms of timing, getting it there, pretty consistent. But I also think we get a couple signed. William Mote out of Georgia, really consistent player. He's also a good athlete. You saw him running down the field on some of these punts and actually playing the ball. I think that's always an upside pick. And then Marco Ortiz from Nebraska, big, 6'4". He's a pretty good blocker, probably the best blocker of the three, but a little more inconsistent snapping. So I think those three get signed. Maybe Bowden could sneak in late 7 if the team really gets antsy.
Awesome stuff. Get the comprehensive coverage and analysis of the 2024 NFL Draft from Shane Hallam and his team. DraftCountdown.com is the website for you. Shane, always a pleasure. We look forward to catching up with you again down the road. Enjoy the rest of the draft as we got one more day to get this in the books.
No, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. Enjoy day 3.
You bet. Our pleasure. That's the one and only Shane Hallam with us here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Breaking it down. That's as thorough as it gets. I mean, you're throwing him long snapper, kicker, punter questions, and he's knocking them out of the park. And by the way, I said Finn out there. I apologize. That was our former producer, by the way, AJ Risser, the great AJ joining us. We appreciate AJ for hopping on with us on the show, but also Barry for chiming in on Twitter. We had a couple more questions I didn't get to. We were running out of time because you wanted to ask about long snappers and kickers and punters, but we did squeeze in what we could, and I had a couple things I wanted to touch on with him too, with the Dave.
If you can talk about long snappers, you do your
stuff. He knows his stuff. He is in depth. Hey, we're hoping to connect with Dave Koehn. I have not heard back. I just sent him a note about it. They might be in the middle of practice. The Bucs probably need some practice right now after that tough loss. But I tell you what, Chris Middleton, I thought he might have been, I don't know if washed up or done was the right word. I thought he was on the decline. He stepped up last night. He gave the Bucs a real chance.
I think the problem with Middleton the last year or so is just some injuries.
It has some injuries,
sure. And a lot of people said that, on a lot of other teams, he would be number one choice. He'd be the main guy, but on Milwaukee, he hasn't been. And I think, again, a lot of that has to do with the injury. So, but, they got to step it up. They're on the verge of, just like Phoenix and some of these other Philadelphia, they're in trouble. They're in big trouble.
Yeah, well, Philly got that win, and if they even it up at 2-all, you're in good shape. The thing with the Bucs is you don't know if you're getting Giannis back, which is the big burning question there.
If you're down 3-0, you might win one game, but you're not winning a series.
Well, there's two teams that are down 3-0, correct? You have the Nuggets up 3-0 on the Lakers trying to sweep out tonight. The Brooms, they're done. Cool. Stick a fork in them.
Stick a fork.
I don't have a fork right now. And you
they
think
may
the
get
Phoenix
one.
Suns,
that's it.
You think the Phoenix Suns, who were my Phoenix Suns for all of 2.5 hours, and I decided to dump them. I
like Minnesota going in. I think
Phoenix you did. I gave you grief last week with Bob Rathbun on this show that you thought they could win the title. And after watching them last night, and Anthony Edwards looks like a man possessed. I don't know that they can beat Denver, but they did get them. They did get them last year, one game, and gave them a couple of tough battles. That might be a 6-7 game series. They might be able to push Denver to the limit. If those two bigs, Gobert and Towns, can stay on the floor, they have role players. They have a winning point guard in Mike Conley who gets them all stabilized and set up. They kill Alexander Walker, Naz Reid, the 6th man of the year. They have a lot of parts. They rebound the heck out of the ball. They out-rebounded Phoenix last night like 60-33. Phoenix couldn't get a rebound to save its life. I can tell you from just sitting there on the TV yelling and get a rebound for crying out loud. They wouldn't get a rebound.
It's a young team, and I get a little nervous with young teams in playoffs because you need the experience, but they're picking experience up. They came in the Phoenix series with the idea we're not taking a backseat to nobody. There was a lot of pushing and shoving, a lot of trash talking. They're not backing down, but they're not just doing that. They're playing. They're getting it done with production, and that's what's needed. So watch out for Minnesota. And Boston, don't screw around and go down 2-1.
Yeah, don't do that.
His reasons are a little different than mine.
Don't.
But that's maybe you don't want to mess around with Miami. I think everybody.
I already lost a dinner to one of my buddies, diehard Celtics fan, who told me they're going to lose game 2. I said there was no way in heck, and I already lost that. That was a bad maneuver by me. Gentleman's agreement, we will say, because we have a funny clip about that later on the show. We've got buy or sell later on the show. We're going to hope to get Dave Koehn on here in a little bit. We're going to take a time out and hear from some of the sponsors that make it all possible for us at the Plex on Cova Sports TV, whether you're watching on Facebook or Twitter or X, that is at 757 Sports Talk, listening on Apple or Spotify. We thank all of you out there, YouTube, VirginiaPreps.com as well. We'll be back in just a bit as we talk all things sports, local, college, high school, pro with you on 757 Saturday Sports Talk on Cova Sports TV.
Well, it's everybody's favorite time of year again. Time to prepare to make your annual donation to that infernal revenue service. So get off your W-2 and call John Maynard at John's Tax Service. 455-6763.
As a banker at Town Bank, we believe that people bank with people, not with banks. You're looking for an actual personal relationship, and that's what you get at our bank. You get that person that gets to know you, gets to know your business, is there for you. I think that is what motivates us, what drives us, and the idea that we are trying to serve others and enrich lives, I think is very true.
After more than 50 years of innovation, AstroTurf still leads the way. The inventor of artificial turf does it all, right here in the USA. We engineer, test, manufacture, and install the world's most innovative fibers and turf technologies, with over 30,000 tracks and fields worldwide. AstroTurf, powered by Sport Group.
At CHKD, sports medicine is more than just treating injuries. It's a whole team approach to caring for young athletes. With experienced physicians, surgeons, trainers, and rehab specialists here when kids and teens need them most. Our experts help young athletes prevent injuries too, with advanced training and conditioning programs that keep them in the game safely. CHKD Sports Medicine, where kids are more than patients and we're more than a hospital.
Treat yourself to a visit to the Drip Bar IV Hydration and Vitamin Therapy in Virginia Beach. Boost your immunity, increase your energy, and promote anti-aging with our personalized treatments designed to ensure efficient nutrition absorption to rejuvenate your mind and body. Come see our chic and relaxing day spa for yourself today. We welcome walk-ins and appointments. Our medical professionals will help you achieve your best health and answer all your questions. The Drip Bar at Lansdowne Commons in Virginia Beach.
On here. All right, here at Harbor Park, we've got the championship ring with the one and only Heather McKeating. She's flashing the bling. You're not going to let Coach Young steal it, will you?
No, probably not.
Okay, you better hold on to it tight, but that's pretty cool.
It's very cool. They did a lot of really cool, intricate things with it. 30 diamonds for 30 years, 2 for 2 championships. They put a lot of the things, protect the harbor. We were MILB Team of the Year, our name, the record, a lot of really cool features.
Look at that. Go check out the store, see Heather, and make sure you keep Coach Young away from that ring.
Yes, for sure.
It is 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Like, share, and subscribe with us on Cova Sports TV, wherever you are tuning in. We thank you for doing so on this glorious Saturday. How about Heather McKeating's championship ring? You like that? The diamonds there? That thing was nicer than your state championship ring from Suffolk High, which, have you flashed it on the show lately? You're not wearing it today.
No, I don't wear. I only wear that when it's game day on games. I leave it, put it away, and whatever. But that ring, she had way more diamonds than mine.
Yeah, 30 diamonds, 30 years. How about that?
Yeah, that was they
championships.
Tides did a heck of a job, and they gave everybody that's, I guess, an employee for the most.
You know what?
part.
They deserve that. I'd say.
No, and that's tremendous because a lot of times you think it's just the players,
yeah,
and maybe the manager, coaches, whatever. But it's the young play. That's just an absolutely tremendous gesture on the part of the Tides.
It was for sure, and I tell you what. We were right there sitting in the restaurant, the Hits at the Park restaurant, when that beautiful throw out from right field to second base. I think it was in the 5th inning. As you see the Tides facing the Stripers in the 5th game of their 6-game series coming up tonight. First pitch going out there to Harbor Park, 6:35. A lot of promotions. We're going to actually work with our man Jack Lowe, who is doing the Tides Talk podcast. Go check that out on our Cova Sports TV YouTube channel. We're going to do like a little tour of Harbor Park. All these little videos we're gathering throughout the year. We'll throw up some things and make it. Maybe we'll unveil it around June and July.
Isn't Jack a hurdler for the a thrower, a pitcher for the Bruins of Western Branch?
I don't know if that's true. He's shaking his head over there. No, I don't think that's entirely
Back
true.
in the day, was it?
Back in the
Was there a
day,
Jack Lowe who was a pitcher somewhere?
I don't think that's entirely accurate.
Could
He is a
be,
Western
could
Branch
be a
Bruin.
different Jack Lowe. There could be two Jack
And
Lowe's.
crazy. And he isn't crazy. And by the way, we did have someone, our man Woody Wagner, shot me a note the other night about some high school baseball. We're going to get to that as we get closer to playoff time. There's just so much going on. We've had the Portsmouth Invitational Tournament, the Virginia Squires reunion, obviously the Admirals' first home playoff game in a decade. NBA and NHL playoffs starting off the NFL draft. It's just as the college basketball ended up from March Madness into April, and now we go into May. By the way, you know what next week is? It's one of your favorite days of the year. Let's see if Ed Young get this. He probably won't if I know him like I know him. We'll not figure this out, ladies and gents. Watch this. He's going to try to figure this out on the fly. He has no idea what next Saturday
week
is. Yeah, what's next Saturday?
Next Saturday is the first Saturday of May.
Well, nice job, smart guy.
It's May 4th.
That's correct. May the 4th be with you.
Some people love May 5th.
That's Cinco de Mayo.
Right. For the reason, another reason to make him drink, the whatever. So, that's not me and it's not you. So I can honestly say that.
Yeah.
May 4th. I'm stumped.
You're just, here's a bad job by you. Bad job by you.
Not May Day.
By the way, Jack's Bruins, a tough L yesterday to Grassville, 5-4 in Southeastern District Baseball. It was really good, by the way. It might have been Thursday. Was it Thursday? I think it was Thursday. They played either Thursday or Friday. I forget what day it was.
Bruins pretty good.
Oh, no, they're really good. And matter of fact, that's what Woody was asking me. Are they the best team in the area? I said, it's about 5 or 6 teams that are in the mix.
Second best team in the SED.
Of course you're going to say that while you're at Nasman River until the end of the school year. Then he's going to be screaming for maybe Booker T, maybe Prentice Hill. We don't know yet.
Nasman River, best baseball in the SED.
It's a secret. It's a secret.
I think they're number one, aren't they?
We
got.
But you're dodging you're dodging the important thing right now.
No, I've got my staff checking out May 4th.
Your staff can't figure anything out. So you have a staff and you have a staff infection.
Hold on. You said my staff is worthless. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't say worthless. I said your staff.
You heard him.
Vinny's got a staff infection.
Vinny Vanu heard
his staff.
This guy called him.
May 4th.
Calm down, Vinny. Calm down, Vinny.
I don't think we're gonna get Dave Koehn, by the way, because he has not texted back yet. So, but we'll try to get Dave at some point if the Bucks are still alive.
Coming.
Lawsuits
coming. Vinny Vanu got it.
It's May 4th next week. Can somebody out there help Ed Young out and tell him what next Saturday, May the 4th is?
That's true.
You do. Whoever did that bobblehead did a pretty good.
That's pretty. My phone is.
Someone's texting you with the answer.
Let me see.
This is cheat. Put it on the screen. Don't text him. Whoever out there is texting him the answer.
Might be my dog eating. He's hungry.
Yeah, you didn't feed him. That was a bad job. By the way, the White Sox are 4-22. Are they miserable or what? I see that on our ticker. I didn't know they were that bad.
It was none of those.
One of those what?
I cannot allow to let you know who it was.
Of course.
And I cannot show the picture that she sent.
Oh, that's awful. It's a clean show.
People have personal things in their life. Just
old
let it
man.
Be. Let it be. Let it be. Let it be. It's the way things go.
Yeah, you know who's saying that? Let it be. Let it be. Let it be.
The great George Benson, Whitney Houston.
Oh, you're a funny guy. The Beatles, Paul McCartney. You're funny. You're funny.
Of course,
you're funny.
You made a statement
That's
about
an inside
Whitney
joke.
Houston. I can't say it on the air.
You can't say it on there. Listen, she had a great voice. She was a great singer. All right. Do you give up? Nobody out there is going to help Ed Young out with what next Saturday, May the 4th is.
May 4th? Bob should know. Bob, are you
in? Derek's out there. We got all kinds of people. Risser's still out there if they haven't decided to go about their Saturday instead of deal with the nonsense that you provide each and every weekend. So Jack's not helping you out. I don't even know Jack knows what next Saturday is.
Jack's he's a high school kid.
Nick
if he knows what's going to happen 2 hours from now.
Man, stop that.
I mean,
Nick and Chuck.
I've worked with high school kids for the last 57 years.
Nick
I know
and
high
Chuck
school
can't
kids.
help you out. Nick and Chuck. I don't think Kevin and Quinn planning out. They're gonna. Nobody can help you out.
Hold on.
There
Okay.
you go. Well, Chuck helped you. May the 4th be with you. We did that, Chuck, already. It is made of. But what else is next Saturday? Somebody else has got to get this. I'm amazed.
Oh, wait a minute. Chuck's giving a reference to Star Wars, isn't he?
Yes, and it is May the 4th be with you, but I'm still stunned that nobody out there has gotten this. If Dave Koehn was on the show, he'd get this. I'm quite sure he would. Although he may not. I'd be disappointed in Dave. We never let him back on the show again if he didn't know. It is May the 4th be with you for all the Star Wars fans. But what else is it? Am I going to take this to break, or am I going to give it out now? What do you think, Jack? Should I go ahead and give it out? Give me a thumbs up if I give it away, or let it go.
Something big.
It is. It's the 150th renewal of the greatest 2 minutes in sports, the Kentucky Derby, and he doesn't know, and none of our people out there know. I am so disappointed.
Oh my God!
I'm so disappointed. It's next week.
Ponies.
The ponies. We'll
Where's
get
my
one.
sheet at? I got to check out who I'm going with.
And by the way, he mentioned it because his son played at Hampton Sydney with his son, Jake Hahn, our man, Bill Brennan. We got to either get on Nick Hahn, his dad, who's big in the races, or our buddy from Colonial Downs, Daryl Wood, because they love coming on every year with us we do it we actually do it 3 times a year. We do the Preakness and the Belmont, but we got to do Kentucky Derby picks next week.
Is Secretariat running again?
No. I'm amazed you did not know it was the Kentucky Derby.
That's
a bad job by you.
That's bad.
Very bad.
I'm probably going to get. If I was getting paid, I'll probably get fired.
Nah, you're getting fired. You're getting fired. You should.
Fired's a hard word. I've already had one of those. I don't want another.
Yeah, that's true. We don't want to do that to you. You had that once. You should forfeit your paychecks for the next 5 months. That's a bad job by you.
Well, let me put some shekels on the Derby and see what I can do. I'll give up some of that money.
I'm disappointed you did not know next week was the Derby.
Oh my God, I can't believe I forgot that already.
Yeah, it's bad.
Love the Derby. That's one of my bucket
I'm going to ask this to the audience out there. And I know people have their favorite local sports things. It can be the state football championship. It can be, by the way, we got a big bouncy castle coming to the sportsplex. Something like a little sports event. You have different things. You could have some, 4th of July event. You have anything could be in your world that's top on your list. I get that, but I'd like to know, as far as big events, the Super Bowl, the Daytona 500, Final Four, March Madness, fill in the blank, World Series. Where would you put the Kentucky Derby on your bucket list? Not just things to watch, but go to. Where would it be on if you could go to that? People go to the Olympics, different things. Where would you put the Kentucky Derby on your list? Some people say it should be 1, 2, or 3, right there ahead of the Super Bowl or ahead of the Olympics, the Daytona. Where would you put? You've never been to the Derby, have you? I've never been to the Derby.
Never been. I'd love to go to the Derby.
You'd love to go. Where would you put it?
But if I go, I got to pet the horses. You got to let me pet the horses. I got to pet the horses.
Got to pet the horses.
Got to do it. Final Four, the NCAA tournament, especially Final Four, is number 1 by far. Nobody else is close to it.
Oh, you said the Final Four is number 1 by far?
The NCAA tournament itself, with of course the Final Four, which is part of the tournament. That's I
think those first 2 days are great to me, but once you get past those first 2 days and my brat gets in the trash, it doesn't have as much buzz for me. And Jack's over there agreeing with me, not.
So you don't.
Oh, you finished 4th or 5th. And by the way, we're going to send the grand prize. By the way, the grand prize winner of our bracket contest, he lives in Utah now. He moved to Utah.
Well, we're being listened to all over the place.
My guys with the Jazz. But anyhow, I'm going to send him something. I know the other Chuck and Nick took care of the other runner-ups. They're getting some. We have some great items all the time. Things from here at the Plex. We got VBU coming up, soccer, all kinds of neat things. So you're going to get some items and we'll do more contests in the future, folks. Some people saying you're going to give away stuff. Well, yeah, we'll do more of those. You just got to be patient. We can't give away everything every day.
Well, we got to have the prizes to give away to
that's
stuff.
A and B. If you want to get on board, some of you sponsors out there, you can be part of our commercial loop, and you can be on with the fastest growing team on the East Coast here with us at Cova Sports TV.
We are 3rd in the state.
I thought we were 2nd. What happened? Who passed us? Who passed us?
Or maybe I didn't read the latest rankings. But remember now, we're
because of him. It's his fault.
We're brand new. We're kind of brand new now.
Well, we were 2nd. Now we're 3rd. It's your fault.
Because you got a lot of jobies out there trying to do podcasts that have no idea what they're saying in the basement of their mommy's house. We got a professional studio. Things are coming up.
What about the ones that are in the basement of their daddy's house?
Oh, that could even be worse. Because a lot of times it's who's your daddy.
I would. You're funny. Who's your daddy? That's another story for another time. I would argue that the Kentucky Derby should be no worse than 3rd on that bucket list of things to go see.
Well, people are going to put Super Bowl up there. It's that one big time event that has parties leading up to it.
You know what I think though, and there's so many different events with it. I think the Olympics. If you can go to the Olympics,
love the Olympics.
If you can go to the Olympics,
people would ask me in the past, as a coach, what would be the best thing you could ever coach in? And without hesitation, I said if I had the opportunity to coach the Olympic team, would be even over a state championship, or if I was college champion or an NBA title, I would take the Olympics because it's the world, and it's only happens every 4 years. So if you can win a gold medal with the Olympic team, for me as a coach would be the ultimate for me. So I'm going to put the Olympics up there too.
But he's going to put it behind the NCAA tournament, which he had won. Makes very little sense, ladies and gents.
Yeah, I'm going to. Yeah, in terms of watching stuff, it's the tournament. I guess.
But that was one of the questions. I said the other question is to be at. Which would you want to be at the most?
Be at.
Yeah,
I would. For me,
I mean, you just went to a hockey. You just went to a hockey match, which I know you loved.
I love that. Now I got
to go back.
And
you're
by the
not
way,
going. Tonight is Game 5. By the way, you see it on a ticker. They won their first playoff game in a decade at Scope.
I got to say this about going back to the hockey.
Yeah, we didn't see our buddy Dennis at. Where was the great Admiral Dennis? Was he there? McEwen, was Dennis there? We didn't see Dennis. I wanted to see Dennis get honored or something. They probably did it before.
That's the other thing I want to do. I want to drive on the Zamboni.
We'll give you away from the Zamboni.
Please give me a ride on the Zamboni while it's going around the ice. Maybe I won't drive it because I'll go right through the plexiglass. I had some people get on me last week when they said, stop begging on the air for freebies.
Yeah.
First of all, freebies is maybe, so I'm always going to do it. I'm a teacher. I don't have no money. And I didn't get free tickets to the hockey game. I paid for them.
He did.
And they were not up in the upper deck.
I'll admit he paid because he paid for mine.
And I paid for this guy's ticket.
Yeah, he did.
Okay. And they were not cheap. So make sure we get that in print out there. And those tickets, actually, tickets are a little bit more expensive than I thought, but it was great seats, great game. So I don't mind that.
Concession stuff was a little more expensive than I thought, which I paid for. That was on me.
Most of the second and half the third. I said, what are you doing? He's in line.
It was most of the second period. And they got out to 3 goals right out of the gate. Boom, boom, boom.
That popcorn for $19 a box is pretty good.
It wasn't 19. It's about 8, though. It is legitimately 8.
Same thing. You're losing money.
By the way, local guy, Brandon Osmondson from Chesapeake, he's been playing mighty well for them.
Oh, yeah. You know what? We're going to stop talking to Admiral Hockey. Just got out there and watch them play. You want to see something good, go watch
tonight, Game 5.
Game 5 tonight, right? And they can win it all tonight. So
they can win advance. You don't win the whole thing.
I mean, win that series.
The ECHL, correct.
And I hope they do because I'm definitely going to the next
second round of the Kelly Cup with a win. If you read the ticket, you get everything right there. 7:05. Yeah.
The Kelly Cup.
The puck drop is scheduled for
Stanley's
7:05.
brother?
Who's that?
Is Kelly and Stanley related? Because they both have cups.
Well, I saw Stanley there Saturday night.
I was just wondering if they're related.
I didn't ask him if that was his sister Kelly. I didn't ask him.
That one just went over his head. This is what I got to work with. The Derby is in the top 5. I haven't really figured out where to put it yet. Because it's the fastest, 2 minutes in sports? Is that what you say that? Or is that something else? But it takes a little bit more than 2 minutes, I think, with those horses.
Okay.
If you go to concession stand at the Derby, you're going to miss everything. But of course, when you go to the Derby, it's not just the Derby; it's a bunch of other races. People forget that. It is a bunch of other ones.
So that's our question of the day.
Derby rank on your sports calendar list of events in terms of what you want to see, which you would say is good to see.
So we want to hear from all of you out there. Let us know. It is next Saturday.
And
all you have to do is carve out 2 to 3 minutes from about. It usually comes. By the way, they do 8 hours of pre-race build-up, which is like the Super Bowl. It's too much. Too much pregame. Too much. I know they get some good stories. And by the way, you know who we might be able to get on because we've had him on radio before. Is Ahmed Fareed from NBC. We might be able to pop him on. Talk about the.
We got to effort these. We get our crack staff to effort these and get a hold of these guys. By the way, speaking of people to get. I spoke with Tim Kirchin, ESPN baseball analyst.
Come on soon.
He is going to give us a Saturday coming up. Right now, he's a little busy and a little bit of some health concerns at home. Not sure it's with him or whatever. So
we told
him, take the time you need. We'll get him on. And he's gracious enough to give his time on our podcast. And we've had him before when we were on the radio side. So
we've got some other people in the works. Caleb Kimbrough, I know, from Hampton City, is going to come on with us at some point. Runner-up in Division 3, college hoops. We're going to get Pete Mishu on soon from the Tides. A lot of people we're planning to get on. So we'll have them all up for you here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk on Kova Sports TV. We'll do more.
You got some people out there you want to try to hear and effort us trying to get, let us know.
Some of the athletes too, yeah.
Because, we need you guys to be chiming in, so we can, make a little bit of money to put gas in a car. We want to make it the show so it's informative as well as fun, but informative. To get here. So, sometimes people say, y'all talk about too much basketball, football. We talk about what you want to hear.
We'll pop on wrestling, tennis, golf, whatever you want to hear. We'll touch on it if you want. It doesn't matter. Soccer, lacrosse.
I just got another event, top 5 in the country.
What's
in the
that?
world.
World Cup?
No, WrestleMania.
WrestleMania, really?
How could you
Are
not
you
have
going
WrestleMania?
WrestleMania? No.
Oh my! I
It's
cannot work
fixed.
this kind of incompetence.
WrestleMania is fixed. You know the outcomes. No.
This is.
Are you a little kid over there? Are you 7 years old? Come on.
This is.
No.
This is,
You want to put the WrestleMania with the Olympics and the Daytona 500 and the Super Bowl and Kentucky Derby? You lost your mind?
have you seen the crowds at WrestleMania?
Yeah.
All right.
I have.
Tell all those 832,000 people how fake it is.
But let me ask you this. What distinguishes WrestleMania from SummerSlam or this event or that event? Otherwise, it just has this big fancy title.
What distinguishes the Super Bowl from?
Because you're giving out the championship. You change championship belts for your WWE every couple of weeks.
Intriguing.
It's
You
fixed.
don't know what the storyline is going to be.
Intriguing. The Kentucky Derby is the pinnacle. The Masters is the pinnacle for golf. We just had that, by the way. You know, you have the Olympics is the pinnacle for all athletes, whether it be track, basketball, you name it, for all sports globally.
WrestleMania is the pinnacle for the WWE world.
And then 2 weeks later, Hulk Hogan and Roddy Piper fight again, and they change belts.
First of all, Roddy Piper is fighting in heaven right now.
Here anymore? Okay, he's gone.
Hulk
Hogan and The Rock.
hardly walk now.
The Rock.
You've got to be up to date if you're going to talk about.
Well, that's why I don't talk wrestling.
This is why right now my agent is trying to work with the people at Walmart as a Walmart greeter. If I can get top dollar for that, I may be off this show because working with this
Walmart greeter.
You make some money.
You can't coach and be Walmart greeter. You got to pick one or the other.
I'm just saying. Sometimes working in this situation, he's got Hulk Hogan fighting Roddy Piper. This is what I got to deal with. But
I mean,
you know what?
You know what? Those vintage matches are better than the current matches. It's all fixed. I'm not sorry. It doesn't move me. It doesn't move me. We're going to take a timeout. We're going to come back and pay tribute to a man that we lost last week. And we'll also do some buy or sell coming up right here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel with Cova Sports TV. There you go, Derek. Let's get some Virginia Championship Wrestling local wrestlers up here. I'm cool with that. We get some wrestlers up here. I'm cool with that.
And you know they got.
And by the way, unlike that WWE stuff, Derek, those wrestlers they don't know they're going to win or lose before the match. WWE, they already have the script written up. It's scripted. That's why it's not on the same level as the Olympics and the Derby and the Super Bowl and the Final Four and the Masters. And Wimbledon. We forgot Wimbledon, by the way. That's up there, too, for tennis. That's why. But those Virginia wrestlers, we'll highlight anybody you want to get up here with us on Cova Sports TV. We'll do it for you gladly.
Yeah, Virginia Championship Wrestling is coming to the area next Saturday on Derby Day.
Yeah, May
I
the
was
4th.
scheduled to attend with one of the biggest wrestling fans around, Eric Johnson, head basketball coach at Grassfield.
And what happened?
But I won't be in the area next Saturday. I've got a prior engagement.
Oh, that's right. He's got a prior. He's getting married, ladies and gents.
No. I'll be doing some traveling. Could be a job interview south.
Married. Oh.
See? So I don't have catches.
Are we losing Ed Young?
Got to go south.
Are we losing you?
I don't saying what it is. I'm just saying.
Wow.
Be here next Saturday.
Wow. You going to the Peach State? Are you going to the Tar Heel State? Where is Ed Young headed? Well, we're going to take a time out and brainstorm about that and chew on that after we hear from some of the sponsors like Zoop and CHKD.
Oh, I love some Zoop.
Come on back in just a bit.
At CHKD, sports medicine is more than just treating injuries. It's a whole team approach to caring for young athletes. With experienced physicians, surgeons, trainers, and rehab specialists here when kids and teens need them most. Our experts help young athletes prevent injuries too, with advanced training and conditioning programs that keep them in the game safely. CHKD Sports Medicine, where kids are more than patients and we're more than a hospital.
Get ready for a season of thrills and excitement. Virginia Beach United invites you to experience the adrenaline of USL League Two Pro Soccer. Tickets are only $10 for adults, $7 for kids, and children 5 and under are free. It's the perfect family outing filled with fun and entertainment. Secure your seats now for a season of unforgettable soccer moments with Virginia Beach United. Don't miss out.
At CHKD, sports medicine is more than just treating injuries. It's a
No, you're
whole
good.
team approach to
My
caring
bad. I
for
should
young
have shown it to
athletes.
you.
With
It's my
experienced
fault. No
physicians,
worries.
surgeons, trainers, and rehab specialists here when kids and teens need them most. Our experts help young athletes prevent injuries too, with advanced training and conditioning programs that keep them in the game safely. CHKD Sports Medicine, where kids are more than patients and we're more than a hospital.
Treat yourself to a visit to the Drip Bar IV Hydration and Vitamin Therapy in Virginia Beach. Boost your immunity, increase your energy, and promote anti-aging with our personalized treatments designed to ensure efficient nutrition absorption to rejuvenate your mind and body. Come see our chic and relaxing day spa for yourself today. We welcome walk-ins and appointments. Our medical professionals will help you achieve your best health and answer all your questions. The Drip Bar at Lansdowne Commons in Virginia Beach.
Number 5,
Back here on Kova Sports TV, 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel with the coach, Ed Young. I am Matthew Hatfield. And Ed, we mentioned on last week's show the passing of a longtime broadcasting icon, if you will, here in Hampton Roads. He was on the mic for, 2 or 3 decades, and he got us our start in radio, and that is the blast man, Tony Mercurio, failing health issues. He succumbed to them last Saturday after we went off the air in the afternoon at the age of 75. The blast man, as he was known, certainly had a different style. Some would call him caustic, bombastic, opinionated, you name it. And he did ruffle some feathers, but he also was like a big teddy bear, had a heart of gold. And he certainly did so much for local sports, whether it was the Tides, the Admirals, the Lady Monarchs, you name it. And rest in peace to Tony at the age of 75. I understand from one of his long friends who posted something on Facebook overnight, Billy Harrison, they're actually planning a tribute day for Tony. I don't know where that'll be or when that will be. Understand he was getting cremated. I don't know there's going to be any funeral services, things of that nature, but certainly one that made a lasting, indelible impact on the sports scene. He was the Tides voice for a couple of years with Pete Mishu. He did Lady Monarchs for so many years. Jan Trombley was his partner, then Susan Montgomery, who was my partner for a year. Actually a year and change. And Tony was at so many different events, remotes. You'd see him really promoting the heck out of local sports and his guests. And he will be sorely missed as we lost him, the blast man, at the age of 75 last week.
Yeah, that's was tough to hear. We were informed earlier in the day last week, you and I were about the potential of Tony passing, and then it happened a few hours later. Still hard to take, still hard to believe now, as you mentioned, getting us in radio. Me early. I came on as a guest on the Frank Bennett show one time, and Frank went to Tony to ask him about keeping me on as a co-host. Frank said I would like to take him as a co-host, and I thank Frank for that too, who's also undergoing some health issues right now and getting better and better. And Tony allowed it to happen. Got to meet Tony, and boy, what a figure he was in terms of just his presence, but then his persona, and a very knowledgeable man in what he did. And I often said, and many others have too, that either you really liked Tony or you didn't.
Yeah.
Because his personality was so big, there was no middle. And I really liked the guy. I mean, he did a lot of things for me, and I did a few shows with him, and he taught me how to make radio work. And now I'm not even close to what he is. I'll never be as close to what he was in radio, but it was a tough loss, and it's still tough to take. And I don't care what anybody says. He was a major personality in this area. Max Media did him wrong when they fired him, and I'll say it on the air, and I just did. They did him wrong, and he's never been replaced. Nobody has come on as good as him, period. And I don't think it will happen. That's how good he was. And we lost a good figure. We lost a really, really staunch sport personality. And you had to get to know him. And I'm not sitting here saying I knew him well. I hadn't talked to Tony in a bit before his passing. But the guy did a lot of great things that never were brought up, never talked about, helped a lot of people that never were talked about. And it should have been. And now that he's gone, people want to step out and say, oh, whoa, it was me. It should have been earlier. So losing Tony was great. And I thought your tribute that you said to him that was in the paper was just absolutely spot on and tremendous. I don't know if nobody could have done what you put on. You spoke from the heart, and that meant a lot. And unfortunately, Tony don't have a lot of family around here, if he has any.
No, his brother Mickey lives in Seattle, Washington, from what we understand. And like I mentioned in that paper, not to give the full comment or regurgitate that quote, Jamie Frankenberry reached out to me from the pilot. Actually, another reporter reached out to me as well. And I want to get it out there too, by the way, a guy that we've known from the radio for many, many years, Al Foreman, who's just a saint. Al was as big a confidant, friend of Tony's, and did so much for Tony. He took a lot of grief from Tony. We want to give Al our best because Al went above and beyond for him so many times. And he doesn't get enough of his flowers, as they say, or credit he deserves, or what Al richly deserves as far as what he is as a person. He's top notch. But one of the things I said that really stuck out with me, Tony, is you may not have liked him, you may not have
agreed with him.
Right? You may not have liked him.
I'd agree with everything.
But the one thing you could always say to Tony, as you see Chuck said, he was a hometown hero, was that he was consistent and passionate about what he did. And there was an authenticity about him. Too many days now, people aren't real. They're not, they want to fake it. They want to try to be somebody else. And one of the things he taught me was just be yourself. And that's what anything I would say for any young broadcasters out there. One thing that I got was just don't try to be somebody else. Be who you are. And, a lot of things that he did certainly made an impression on me and how I've gone about my business. But rest in peace. He was one of the best as far as and I said this too, he was to sports in our area what Mike and the Mad Dog, who are viewed as pioneers and nationally in New York. Francesa has his podcast now on the Bet Rivers Network. Russo does High Heat on MLB Network, his Sirius XM show. First Take with Stephen A. Smith on Wednesdays on ESPN. They've gone their separate ways, but they'll never recreate what they did together. And Tony was that for here because people would tune in to hear what they say. And it always got me. And people say, why are you tuning in? You don't like, well, I don't like that guy, but he would have a reaction. He had that innate ability, that gift to make you react and he'd move you. So we'll miss the big man, the blast man, and hopefully looking down at heaven, enjoying some of the sports events and his baseball conversations. We'll probably get this when we get Pete on the show. His baseball conversations with Dave Rosenfield on a weekly basis were must-listen radio for so many people. We talked about this with Brian Parsons last night at Harvard Park on the concourse. We ran into Brian, who did a nice little tribute on Wavy on the TV side of things as well. They would just tell stories. It could be something with the Tides. It could be something with Billy Bean or Bruce Bochy or fill in the blank, whoever it might have been from the 80s or 90s or even the 2000s that you would just be sitting there. And baseball, I always feel, Ed, is that best sport. I was telling someone the other night at the Admirals game. It's the best sport for radio. I think hockey is as good a sport as there is in person. Football is the nation's most popular sport. That's inarguable, I think. Football generates the best ratings. It's the most popular. Fantasy football, gaming now, it's taken off to a whole new level. Your top 100 shows, you're going to have 90 of them on TV are going to be football, whether it be pro or college. Basketball can have its moments with the tournament or the finals. You have some storylines, some personalities, whether it be the LeBron, the Durants, the Currys, you name whoever star it is. But baseball has a special place. And Tony, it's got that, as you know, baseball has that tradition about it. That, with your grandpa sitting on the porch, drinking a lemonade, listening to the game on radio. And Tony, a lot of families could connect with that, father, son, that type of thing. And I know he loved it. He loved his St. Louis Cardinals. And hopefully he's up there having conversations about the Cards with Rosenfield and our other great buddy, the late, great Terry Sasiski, who was a diehard Cardinals fan, longtime voice at VCU and Petersburg High School. So rest in peace to Tony, age of 75. There will not be another one like him. That is for sure.
No, that's for sure. And like I said, he's been unreplaceable so far in what he did in this area at any of the shows that take the attempt to have drive time radio, sports talk radio. He was the king at it, and hasn't been replaced yet.
Hey, guess Dave King just texted me. I think he's going to jump on with us now. I think he just got out of practice, but. We're going to take a time out and hopefully get Dave Koehn on the show with us here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk to talk about the NBA playoffs and the Milwaukee Bucks who fell last night. So we will hear from Dave, we think, in just a moment with us here on Cova Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe here on our YouTube channel, and we will be talking about the NBA action with them Game 4 coming up on Sunday with Dave, and we can talk about what it's been like, and I think his third year as the play-by-play voice of the Milwaukee Bucks. So before we go to break here, Ed, we'll also got some buy or sell before we sign off. So we might go a couple minutes past noon, but that's all right. Come on out here to the Sportsplex today. We've got kids playing soccer all over the place. We've got some concession items you can go get. We've got a football combine. Some of the best players, I think, maybe around the state and area at this football combine. I know our man Will Garlick is out here from VirginiaPreps.com as I give our website a shameless plug. It's Ed's second favorite website. I can't tell you what his favorite website is because that'll get me in trouble. So we'll take a timeout, though, and be joined by Dave Koehn, the play-by-play voice of the Milwaukee Bucks, to break down what's going on with the Bucks Game 4 coming up tomorrow from Indiana and also the NBA playoffs right here on Cova Sports TV. Right now, though, we take a timeout and hear a word from our sponsors. We'll be back in just a moment.
Well, it's everybody's favorite time of year again. Time to prepare to make your annual donation to that infernal revenue service. So get off your W-2 and call John Maynard at John's Tax Service. 455-6763.
Check 1, 2.
As a banker at Town Bank, we believe that people bank with people, not with banks. You're looking for an actual personal relationship, and that's what you get at our bank. You get that person that gets to know you, gets to know your business, is there for you. I think that is what motivates us, what drives us. And the idea that we are trying to serve others and enrich lives, I think is very true.
After more than 50 years of innovation, AstroTurf still leads the way. The inventor of artificial turf does it all, right here in the USA. We engineer, test, manufacture, and install the world's most innovative fibers and turf technologies, with over 30,000 tracks and fields worldwide. AstroTurf, powered by Sport Group.
And now back to Matthew Hatfield and the evil best of all coach. Blast you, Ed Young!
And welcome back here to Cova Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also on Apple, Spotify, VirginiaPreps.com, Facebook, or X as they call it, with Twitter and Instagram. We now have with us on the program the play-by-play voice of the Milwaukee Bucks of the NBA. I think in his third season. He can correct me if that's wrong, after being the play-by-play man for the University of Virginia. Dave Koehn's kind of join us in. Is it sunny Indiana today?
For the time being, it is. I thought I could have my headphones work, so hopefully this works. But I'm actually in a park right now as I talk to you downtown Indianapolis. It was raining, and we had this crazy, like tornado potential around here, and then it cleared up. So I decided I needed to step out and get in the sun while I could. So that's where you catch me here on this Saturday.
Well, you'll appreciate this, Dave. I actually had in my air shock that I have right here in my little headset. I was listening to you do the play-by-play call yesterday of the Bucks and Pacers. What a riveting Game 3 it was. Bucks without Giannis Antetokounmpo. Damian Lillard gets hurt. He comes back, and Chris Middleton put on a show. The Pacers, certainly, they've got an offense that can light it up. I was listening to you give the play-by-play to the very wire as Middleton makes not one but two enormous clutch shots, but Tyrese Halliburton answers him for the game winner. Take me through that game. Game number 3 was a tough one for the Bucks, but they're still alive and kicking down 2-1. If they can somehow get it evened up 2-2 back to Milwaukee, could get closer to maybe, perhaps, possibly a return for Giannis, say a game 5, 6, or 7. What's the status there? As everybody's asking, when will the Greek Freak be back?
Yeah, that's sort of the prevalent question just about everywhere I go these days is when's Giannis going to be available? I mean, it could even be tomorrow. He's getting close, so they guard this injury information like Fort Knox. But even if they didn't, I mean, I actually think that it truly is just a day-to-day thing, because if you've spent any time around Giannis Antetokounmpo, you know that he is going to be out there as soon as humanly possible. It's really hard to keep him off the court. So he's, I know, chomping at the bit to get playing again. Yeah, this thing really does come down to health, though. I mean, as it often does, no matter what sport you're talking about. You got to be good, but you also absolutely have to have Lady Luck on your smiling on your shoulder. And for the Bucks, it just hasn't gone that way really this season. Since Doc Rivers took over in January, we've only seen the big three that this team was built around, between Damian Lillard, Chris Middleton, and Giannis, play 6 games together since Doc Rivers took over in January. It's just been a ton of injuries. That one guy comes in, another guy goes out. So that continuity has not really had a chance to work with under the Doc Rivers system. They just haven't had time. And obviously, time's running out. You mentioned Chris Middleton had a chance at he knocked down 2 clutch threes to keep this thing going, but unfortunately, he needed a third, and it was that kind of game. But it was a battle, and it was a hell of a lot of fun to call. I mean, it was just one of those epic types of games that you just kind of, while you're in it, you're just like, is this happening? But so Milwaukee's going to need to have some good fortune, and unfortunately, at the end of that game, Damian Lillard re-aggravated an Achilles as well. So I don't know exactly what his status is going to be now for tomorrow. So Middleton was already a question mark to start that game with an ankle injury. Giannis was out. Now you throw Damian Lillard into the mix. I mean, you're literally batting 3 for 3 with your top 3 players dealing with injuries. So that's always a tricky predicament to be in.
Yeah, for sure. Namely, definitely needed a dramatic game. We haven't had too many of them in this year's playoffs outside of the Game 2 Nuggets-Lakers, where Jamal Murray hit the game winner, and the Game 2 crazy finish at the Garden with the Knicks and the Sixers. New York stealing that one to go up 2-0 before the Sixers made it 2-1. And last night, the Pacers edging the Bucks 2-1. They lead the series before Game 4 coming up on Sunday night. Dave Koehn, the play-by-play voice of the Milwaukee Bucks, joining us here on Cova Sports TV and 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Ed.
Hey, Dave, great to come on. Thanks for coming on with us. Good chance I'm meeting you this way, but this guy's talked a lot about you. You're a guy he studies when it comes to play-by-play. We do the Virginia State Championship basketball for the last 8-9 years. He does play-by-play. I do the color, and he's been good to work with, even though I got to keep him in his place and I got to learn him some things. But he sings your high praises, so keep mentoring this guy so I don't have to fire him and get somebody else when we do that. I got to ask you, Dave, going way back, from being a big basketball fan, I'm a long-time basketball coach myself. They fire Adrian Griffin for a guy whose record is very good.
Like 30-13, I think. Yeah.
Great record. People start pointing fingers as to why. Then they bring in Doc Rivers. I'm a Doc Rivers fan, but a lot of people are saying this guy has screwed this thing all up. So anytime they lose, it's Doc Rivers' fault. Anytime they win, it's the Greek Freak's fault. What you're right close to all of this. How do you divulge and look at all this from the time it happened when Griffin was let go and here comes Doc to what they're going through now. I think you touched on a little bit when you're talking about injuries. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, come on now. 3 really studs who can't play a whole lot together has a lot of impact on what's going on. And they're still good. It's just that there's a black cloud, it seems like, in the basketball world hanging over Milwaukee. And a lot of it's because of Doc Rivers. And, of course, Milwaukee management, because people said, you got rid of a guy that was winning. What are you doing? But assess what in your opinion, what's going on.
I think we lost Dave for a second there. We'll try to get him right back. I think his video froze, so we'll work on getting Dave here in just a moment.
Hopefully it wasn't the tornado.
I hope it wasn't the tornado. We'll work on getting Dave. You could see him, but we're working on getting Dave right back here. Hopefully he'll reconnect with us here in just a moment.
Hear us, Dave. We can't hear you.
We'll see if we get Dave right back here, as we lost him for a second. We'll try to reconnect with Dave here on the program as you were throwing at him the question with Doc Rivers and what is transpiring with them. And you're right. I think a lot of that is that there's so much they want to throw to criticism. We'll see if we can get Dave reconnected here.
I think now the biggest issue is, as he just mentioned,
either that or you didn't like your question.
Lillard aggravated that Achilles.
Yeah, that's a big.
And that's not an injury you really can play through and play well. That Achilles is messing you up, much like a back injury. You can't do much. You can't move. And if he's down, definitely going to hurt them because they need every weapon they can get against Indiana. The thing about Indiana, yes, they can score, and they're a very good team, but I think they're beatable because on the defensive end, they lose sight a lot. And if you got a team that can score, you're in the game with them. They're not a Boston Celtic team. They're not a Denver Nugget team. They're a team that has some holes, especially on that defensive end. So they can be taken down, but you got to have your personnel to do it. And with Giannis out, and then now potentially Lillard out, and Middleton not 100%, even though he played tremendous yesterday, it just makes it a lot tougher to go out there and play against these type of teams. But Indiana is one of the best. If they're not the leading scoring team in the NBA, I think they're up there.
Yeah.
But you've got to still be able to stop some people, especially if they can score.
Yeah, you can, and you can play a high scoring game, and it end up like last night's where you fall up a possession or two short. And we'll effort getting Dave back on here to see if we can get his thoughts on the whole coaching situation with Doc Rivers, and if he got all your question, because we had him and then he froze on the screen. So apologize for the technical difficulties, but as you heard, the weather out there is a little tricky, and the connection sometimes can be the same here on Cova Sports TV as we talk to you about the world of basketball. I think we just got a text from phone overheated, trying to get on his computer now. So he's going to get with us here in a moment. That'll be perfect here as we try to reconnect with Dave, as he just sent me that text. So that happens sometimes. Hey, trust me, I had my laptop the other day overheat. I was sitting somewhere and it gave me the blue screen of death, which if you've ever had that, that's not a good thing.
Well, when you're doing things live of this nature,
sure,
that's just one of the possibilities that can happen. I mean, we don't control that.
Yeah, for sure.
So our job is to try to get the right people on. Things that are current, get people that are close to the situation instead of us always guessing what we think from afar. Get the people that are right there. So, and that's what we're trying to do, and trying to bring the news and the information to the fan base, so that and they have a chance to pop in with a question on here too. So.
And guess who we have back with us? Dave Koehn is now back with us. Dave, we thank you for that. We apologize. Hey, it happens sometimes. And your response to Ed's question, which had to do, as you heard probably bits and pieces of that, Adrian Griffin.
I heard
from Coach Bud to Griffin and now Doc. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, it was a good question. I wanted to answer it, and apologies for that. It's funny. I'm sitting out here.
Dave, we're the key. Not to interrupt you, but we're glad that the tornado didn't come through.
It was quite the opposite. It was. This is the rigors of working outside. My phone. All of a sudden, I'm about to answer the question, and all of a sudden, my phone lights up, says it's overheated. It must have had too much sunshine on it. So I'll take that versus the alternative. But to answer your question, though, no, I think one of the things, the injuries have obviously impacted the Bucks. But the other thing that there's so much nuance, as you guys know, when it comes to sports in terms of determining outcomes. And for the Bucks in the first half of the year, in those first 43 games, they played the easiest schedule in the NBA. And I do think that needs to be mentioned. In Doc Rivers' first game, and it was kind of a sign of things to come, was in Denver to start a 4-game or 5-game West Coast trip against, I think it went from Denver to Dallas to Portland to Utah to Phoenix or something crazy like that, where you're just going all over the place. It was an unruly, and that was kind of a sign of what the Bucks were in store for. So, in the NBA, you always say, oh, you got this easy schedule, but you're going to have to pay the piper back at some point. So about the time that they made that switch is when the schedule started to show its fangs. And so that obviously impacted this Bucks team, I think, in addition to those injuries. So there was a culmination of a couple things. But I think that the thinking was when they made that switch. I know from the outside, everybody looks and says, "Hey, you're 30-13. What in the world are you guys doing, making this move?" But if you watch those games, I think there was a real sentiment that you weren't maybe going to be able to maximize everything you had just by virtue of the fact that they were sneaking by some of these games, that and then just kind of getting by on some talent at this point. And this is no knock again on what Coach Griff did, but the reality is a first-year head coach, it's a challenge when you've got a locker room full of veterans and guys that in many cases could probably be coaching teams themselves. There's a really high collective IQ with this group of players, and the NBA locker room is a fickle thing. It's unlike anything you'll see, and you've got to have true buy-in. And I'm not in that locker room. All I know is little things and snippets that I've heard, and so I just think they felt like the change needed to be made, and I think Doc was the right guy and is the right guy. But as we said, you can have all the perfect pieces in place, but if you don't have your horses when you need them, it's going to be a struggle. And then you got to get some luck because everybody's so good in this league. I mean, that's the thing you kind of lose track of. I don't think I had as much of an appreciation for it until I got into the NBA, is even the worst teams are just loaded full of All-Americans. They are full of players that are the best at every level that they've played. And so if you're not locked in every game, it can be a challenge. And I do think with a veteran team, sometimes maybe the regular season doesn't take on quite the same importance as some of these younger teams. And you know that you're measured in the playoffs. And that's kind of always been the be-all, end-all for the last number of years for this Bucks team. It's what are you going to do come April, May, and June? And right now, unfortunately for the Bucks, it's not going their way, but it's still only 3 games in. You just got to hope you get some breaks and get your players out there, because if they have all their players healthy, I do think this team is equipped to make a push deep into these playoffs, and I think they could be a very real threat to Boston if they have all these guys ready to go.
Yeah, it could be one of the few teams that can match up with the Celtics with their prowess, and they've played them obviously a couple of really good times and beaten them. Dave, I was saying to Ed last night, I think one of the players who's maybe on that top 20 to top 25 shelf in the league that doesn't get the credit he deserves, and he had great games 1 and games 2, was Pascal Siakam, who the Pacers brought in from Toronto, around the deadline. A team like the Bucks or the 76ers are filling the blank in the East, would have loved to have gotten this guy to bolster their chances, but the Pacers got him. Just speak from your perspective, watching him, what he brings to the table and what a matchup problem, how more that's even magnified without Giannis on the floor.
Well, that's the big thing. You don't really have someone to stop him. Now, that said, I thought Chris Middleton did a masterful job on him last night. You look at all the offensive numbers that Chris put up, but I thought it was one of his best defensive games just on watching it. I haven't gotten a chance to look back at that game and see what the film is. I'm curious to hear what the coaches thought on that. But I just, and it's always tricky as a play-by-play person when you're trying to gauge defense because you're so locked in on the ball. It's hard to see what's going on off the ball sometimes when you're describing the action, every act that's going on over the course of a game. So, but that said, I really thought he was excellent on that side of the floor. But yeah, when you don't have Giannis, Giannis has that length and athleticism to match a guy like Siakam, and that really was heightened and magnified those first 2 games when he put up 36 and 37 points and just was scoring at all levels, inside, mid-range, outside. Even his 3-point shot was really working for him. But he's an outstanding player. He's a guy that a lot of teams would love to have, that versatility, that ability to impact a game in a lot of different ways.
Dave, I know you're busy with your schedule and what you got to do with the Bucks and that, but maybe when you get a chance to peruse and you look at the other series, anything standing out, things kind of going the way you think, maybe a team let's watch out for as we went into the playoffs. I told Matt and some others I was looking hard at Minnesota. I thought, I'm a Boston Celtic fan, so I'm hoping they can finally do something. But I said, boy, watch Minnesota, and I think they have proven it in this Phoenix series, just taking Phoenix heart right out. I think it's going to go to 4 and they're done. But looking at the other series and that, anything that you're noticing?
Yeah, Minnesota's obviously been really impressive. And I think for Phoenix, it's got to be incredibly disappointing because of everything that they've invested in building that team the way they have with some of the older veterans. And much like the Bucks, they don't have a lot in the way of assets to play around with now because they've invested so heavily in this team and bringing guys like Kevin Durant in there and Bradley Beal. But it's funny because Minnesota a year ago, everybody was questioning why did they bring in Rudy Gobert? Why did they give up all these all these assets to get him? Well, now we're seeing why, because you have Twin Towers in there with him and Karl Anthony Towns and what they're able to do, and then obviously the Dynamo Ant-Man is kind of coming to fruition here as one of the league's really great players. He's going to be a guy we talk about a lot, Anthony Edwards, moving forward, I think. And this is his stage to kind of have a coming out party. So they've got all the pieces you want. They've got versatility. What they don't have is a ton of experience. How important that is, I don't know. That's up to some debate, but we'll find out. And obviously they're off to a great start. I'm always fascinated too to watch Miami, though. You mentioned the Celtics, and obviously having seen that Miami team a year ago up close and personal, a little more closely than we would have even liked, with the Bucks being the 1 seed a year ago and running into that Eric Spoelstra magic. I can't just what he's able to do with so little just staggers my mind. It's amazing. He's the best coach in the game right now. I mean, you just have to say it. I mean, I remember asking him a couple times over the course of this season and last year, because the Bucks have caught them shorthanded a couple times too, and they've been beaten by that Miami team shorthanded a number of times. But you ask him, like, how do you get these guys ready when you don't have all your horses? And he almost doesn't even want to answer the question. It's just kind of like, look, that's being disrespectful to the other guys in this locker room that are all professionals and really good at what they do. And I'm not going to even really consider the fact that we don't have guys. Our expectation remains the same. And it's one thing to say it, but I honestly think that team truly believes it. He has got those guys believing it, and he's obviously a master tactician and motivator. So that's a fascinating team. I really, again, every time you doubt them, they prove you wrong. But I just cannot imagine without Jimmy Butler, they're going to be able to do much more against Boston than take a game or two. But it still is impressive to see those guys work when they're shorthanded. So that's a team that's always fascinating to me too. But there's a lot of really great matchups in the league this year. And I was surprised to see all the home teams take care of business to the degree they did the first couple of days, I should say, the playoffs. I think it was the first time in like 16 years over the first 2 days that all the home teams won. But there's going to be a lot of twists and turns the rest of the way. There's so many great series. And of course the Nuggets. I mean, I grew up a Denver Nuggets fan, and I got to tell you, I'm a little bit bitter that when I finally switch away from the Nuggets, all of a sudden that's the time the Nuggets become a championship caliber team after I suffered 25 years. But at any rate, they're so good, and they play so well together, and they've just kind of got that moxie right now. They've got the swagger, and they're so calm and cool, like their leader, Nikola Jokic, who's been an Iron Man. He doesn't miss games. I mean, that's the big thing. He is always there. And as we talk about, that is a big part of winning at this level.
It is. I want to touch on those two things, Dave, before we finish up with you on the Bucks here. But you brought up the Heat, and I've told Ed this many times, and he appreciates this as a coach with one of the best in the business in Eric Spoelstra. He got those roots from Pat Riley, and I think of them like the Eastern version nowadays of what we had 10, 20 years ago, the San Antonio Spurs. They just plug and play. They have a culture. They have a way about them. That winning DNA, doesn't matter who's hurt. They just go about their business, and they're so ultra consistent. Having seen what happened last year, people were talking about the collapse, and Mike Budenholzer goes out, and the Bucks go down in 5. They had those 2 big leads in Game 4, Game 5, couldn't close the door. And then what they went on to do to beat the Knicks as an 8 seed, beat the Celtics after blowing a 3-0 lead to get to the finals, even took Game 2 in Denver to even that up before the Nuggets won 2 in South Beach and then polished them off in Game 5. Do you think it took some of the, oh my gosh, what happened to the Bucks off? And maybe the general public and even the media don't appreciate stories like we have with the Heat, like we have with the Spurs, like we have with the Nuggets out west. I mean, if they go on to win it back-to-back, I feel like they're going to be the most underappreciated back-to-back champs since the Rockets of the mid-'90s.
Yeah, it's sorry, there's some distractions here. There's literally a party, I guess, motorcade going by me right now. Looks like a bachelorette party of sorts. Anyway, so all these distractions here, but yeah, no, I mean, I think for what the Nuggets have been able to do, I mean, it's kicking that door down for the first time is so hard. It really is, and I experienced it at the University of Virginia when they finally kicked the door down. Once you do, though, all of a sudden you're in that stage and you're in the game and nobody's questioning you anymore, and all of a sudden you've got that swagger. So I think they've been able to establish that, but so where it goes from here, doing it again is obviously, as the Bucks will point out, not an easy thing to do. You got to have a lot of things line up.
Dave, I think another question I would have for you, getting away from all the series and that, looking at your situation personally, and I know you went from Virginia, now you're in the NBA. What's it like for a play-by-play guy on game day? Today's an off day. Kind of let us know, our listeners know, what does a play-by-play guy go through in a series like this, things that you have to do? I know it's not just hop on games and talk. You got to do your prep and all that, but let us know.
Yeah, I think one of the things with the NBA that I didn't have a true appreciation of either until I got to it was just the sheer volume of games. It gives you such another level of appreciation for the players too. I mean, what they have to go through, being physically able to go game in and game out and mentally ready to go. A lot of people ask, how can you not take every game seriously? 82 games is just an absolute slog. If you got to have a routine. And and it takes time to develop that routine, but the routine is everything for all of us. I mean, it is for me too. I mean, I have to figure out, right now, as I'm sitting here, before I talk to you guys, I'm sitting on this park bench here just updating all my notes. I've got everybody approaches it a little bit differently. I have tended to maybe over prepare a little bit. And in some ways I'm kind of getting to the point where I'm trying to learn to maybe do a little bit less because I don't need all of this stuff. At some point, you've got an acumen and you've been around the game enough and you've been around these teams enough that you've got some, built up knowledge base that you can utilize and turn to. And I think that does take some time. You can see with some of these broadcasters that have been in the league for about, 20, 25 years, they know it inside and out. You can kind of show up a little bit more at that point. My first year, it was a gauntlet. I was constantly working. I never even came up for air. It was constantly preparing, constantly studying. I still do a lot because that's what I'm paid to do, candidly. I mean, I got to take this seriously. And I think it's my job to try to have as much knowledge as I possibly can. Now, that said, sometimes you can do the broadcast a disservice by over preparing. You can lose the forest for the trees, as the saying goes. And you got to keep track of what the main storylines are. And that's the game that you're watching. So some of the minutia that you may get excited about, sometimes you got to figure out what is, we'll just say, necessary, and your efficiencies, what's an efficient usage of your time. So yeah, I mean, like I would say I probably put in about 7 hours of work, I would say, per game. But like I say, that's my job. That's what they're paying me to do. And it's a responsibility I don't take lightly.
Great insight there from Dave Koehn, the play-by-play voice of the Milwaukee Bucks, who once was the play-by-play voice for the University of Virginia during its national championship run. So I know he gets a twinkle in his eye whenever he sees a former Wahoo like a DeAndre Hunter with the Hawks, or fill in the blank here. Our last couple minutes with you, Dave. We thank you for hopping on here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk and Cova Sports TV. And this game 4 coming up, it feels like this is the game, must win, as they say, to get it 2-2. What's the biggest adjustment or tweak you think that's made? Because you hear all the time from coaches like Ed and other people that are out there on TV that your biggest adjustment in a series is from game 1 to game 2. Really, your tweaks and adjustments are more subtle from games 3 on through 7. What's your feeling on it, and how do you kind of project things with it being so up in the air as far as the health status with these guys for the Bucks?
Well, that's the driver. I mean, there's just no two ways about it. I mean, you're only as good as your players that you've got on the floor. So that's the first thing the Bucks have. If the Bucks have their players, I really like the Bucks' chances the rest of the way here in the series for sure. Now the question is, will they have those guys? I don't know. It was interesting. I talked to Doc Rivers yesterday about this whole idea of the chess match over the course of a series, and so he said to me, honestly, I think sometimes it's overblown. I think this idea of the chess match and the adjustments and everything that goes on over the course of a series, he says at some point you just know each other, and it comes down to execution. Who's going to execute? Who's going to play more physical? Who's going to impose their will? And it does vacillate over the course of a series. We saw even in the course of a game in that first quarter, the Bucks just did not bring that physicality. They did not bring that required discipline. I think one of the biggest keys for Milwaukee in this series is offensively having shot discipline. You can't put up bad shots against this team, because when you miss on a bad shot, they run, and that is everything for their offense. And you have to take care of the basketball. You got to value the basketball and make smart shots on offense, and then the other thing, you got to hit shots. I mean, not just for your offense to put points on the board, but again, that is what ignites this Indiana offensive attack. They run as well as anybody in the league. They came in number 2 in the league in pace, and against the Bucks, that's been kind of their their calling card against an older roster. This is a young Indiana team that wants to get up and down and run. Now, that said, the Bucs aren't going to shy away from running too when they have the ball. That was the other thing I thought was interesting from my conversation with Doc yesterday. I said, do you try to slow this thing down? He said, no, you don't. He's like, on our end, we got to continue to push the tempo. We got to take smart shots, though. You don't settle for dumb shots where you're covered and you're potentially going to miss it and lead to a run out going the other direction. So, in a lot of ways, the Bucs' best defense is their offense, and it's in this series perhaps more than any I've ever seen.
Well, as always, we thank you so much for coming on the program with us today. Dave Koehn, the play-by-play voice of the NBA's Milwaukee Bucks. Enjoy the sunshine while you've got it there in Indianapolis and the day off, and we'll be listening on Sunday for game number 4. All the best to you and the team.
All right, gentlemen. Enjoyed it. Thanks. Take care.
Thanks, you. Dave. It's Dave Koehn, so kind to join us here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk and Cova Sports TV. We're going to take a time out and hear from the sponsors. Our last segment coming your way with buy or sell on this spectacular Saturday that's going a little bit past noon, but that's all right because Ed Young he's got some things to take care of and he wants to get some things off his chest for buy or sell. It's coming your way next right here on Cova Sports TV. Don't touch that dial. We hear from some of the sponsors right now.
Pain and Gain, your one-stop shop for all things field hockey. Located in Princess One Shopping Center, Virginia Beach, we carry everything you need on the turf, from black sticks, turf shoes, mouth guards, and much more. Try out your stick before you buy in our synthetic turf area. Pain and Gain. Embrace the pain, enjoy the gain.
Get ready for a season of thrills and excitement. Virginia Beach United invites you to experience the adrenaline of USL League 2 Pro Soccer. Tickets are only $10 for adults, $7 for kids, and children 5 and under are free. It's the perfect family outing filled with fun and entertainment. Secure your seats now for a season of unforgettable soccer moments with Virginia Beach United. Don't miss out.
If I ever get back, so let's root for the home team. If they don't, oh, it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game. Oh, love that. Someone's not singing. Take me out to the ball game. Why didn't you sing?
Because I was hearing some stuff that was absolutely crap, and it messed up my vocal cord. That is outrageous. I got to see the manager.
If you see the manager here at Hits of the Park, though, you're going to get some great food. So come on out to Harbor Park on this Friday night. We're enjoying the action. Hope you are too. Later.
This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
You love my singing. Well, you hating my singing. Why'd you call my singing crap? The kids were loving it. They were bouncing up and down. But you're going to say it wasn't to my singing, are you?
I don't want to talk negative about other people, but I've been known as a person to just speak what's on
you
my
don't
mind.
want to do that. That's not in your
no. And I know you tried, but when you started singing, some people were crying in the restaurant. Some kids,
they were not crying.
People got up and left.
They were having jolly good fun.
There was mad clapping at the bar, and I thought it was.
That was when somebody left. We don't know who that was, though.
Oh, okay. Because I thought it was after you were done singing, they started clapping.
No. They probably were glad you left the buffet. Left some food for some people.
Well, I only made one trip. I did get some
that
macaroni
food
salad
was
on
good.
the second trip.
That was really good.
Was it? It was good. Very good.
Jack, did they have prime rib up there in the press box last night? Oh, they did. See, they had it up there too. They had prime rib up there.
Jack's in a whole nother world. He's sitting up in the
Salmon?
press box. They got waitresses catering to him and whatever else. We're down there. We're paying big bucks for everything.
He's doing real work. We're just watching the game.
We're assessing the situation.
Yeah,
we're doing
not
some
doing
work.
We're
But you singing, and like I said, people get paid for that. You don't. So let's keep it to a minimum, or let's keep it solo.
okay. If you
Solo,
say so.
nobody can hear it.
Hey, by the way, Derek Fulgham out there. Tony's show was the first I heard in Sports Talk, and it quickly became a favorite. I met the Blast Man at a sports bar where he paid for my meal as we talked. That was Tony. He did that for me more than a couple of occasions, particularly after a couple of my picks went through. But that's another story for our time. I'll say something funny. But we missed the Blast Man who we lost last week at the age of 75. Rest in peace to Tony out there. We've been paying tribute to him a little bit this morning. And with all of you out there through our social pages, Cova Sports TV, like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. As I've got the earpiece now hanging out on my ear, that's all right. We'll live with that. Ed, it is time for buy or sell. Are you ready to
Hold
buy
on.
or sell
Let me
something?
check my pockets. Let me see what I
think
got.
Spin it to the hockey game.
Let me
You're all out
see
of,
what I
you're all out of
got.
funds, right?
Okay, I got
all
me
out of
1,
funds.
2, 3,
Okay.
and 5
That's
is
enough.
8.
That's
And
enough.
I got $18 to my name.
All right. That's plenty.
Okay. So
That's
I'm
plenty.
ready to roll.
All right. You ready for the first buy or sell question? Here it is. Let's rock it out. And we'll actually let you read it since you're such a wonderful guy. Go ahead.
Both the Denver Nuggets and the Minnesota Timberwolves will complete will complete first round sweeps in the opening round of the NBA playoffs this weekend. Buy people means it's going to happen. Sell means either both or one won't happen. Just so our people out there who play and buy and sell with us know that. Okay. So I read it. Matt has to answer first.
Well, I got to answer first. Why can't you answer first?
See, he don't even know the rules of the game.
I'm
He
gonna
wants to change the rules as we go.
I'm gonna buy this because I'm mad at the Phoenix Suns and the LA Lakers. I'll say it. They've been the LA Fakers this postseason. There you go. They get up double digits 3 times against the Nuggets. They can't close them out. They just can't. And you watch who has a big game for tonight. KCP, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Because they're going to double Joker. They're going to pay attention to Murray, Gordon, and Porter. And KCP is going to hit 5 or 6 threes. You can take it to the bank, ladies and germs. I used ladies and germs because that was in honor of Tony. You always say that. So buy.
I'll buy it too because when we assess
like me though, he doesn't do that.
both situations, Phoenix is stick a fork in them, and I don't think Minnesota's going to let up. I think they're really trying to prove a point. The one that has a small chance.
What point are they trying to prove? What point are they trying to prove?
That we're coming through this. Minnesota is planning on winning the NBA title. They're not here just for the show of it. The Lakers could catch Denver napping and try to, especially LeBron, try to get it. But I'm going to buy it. I think it's 4-0.
They're not going to catch them napping because they'll take their nap before pregame meal and then they'll be ready to kick some tail. Some butt.
It's a figure of statements.
Like those offensive linemen Shane Hallam was talking about. Remember you're talking about some butt kickers? He said some butt kickers. That's what he wants. All right, next up for buy or sell. You ready for the second one?
You read it. I'll go first.
You want me to read it? Oh, you want me to read this one? Boston responds from its home loss in Game 2 to the Miami Heat, who made 23 threes the last time out and take a 2-1 series lead on the road. They better. I'm buying this.
Dude, I know why you're asking
I already bought it.
Yeah, he bought it.
All right. I'm going to buy the farm if it doesn't happen. Jason Tatum, step up. Kristaps Porzingis. And by the way, if Kristaps Porzingis does not prevent Dave Kane's comments about the Heat against the Celtics made me a little
he will
bit
join
nervous.
Craig Kimball wherever he is.
Let me tell you something. Kristaps Porzingis. People are telling me all year about Kristaps Porzingis and Drew Holiday, which we should have asked him about because he's a former Buck. We could have talked with Dave for 25 more minutes, but we wouldn't let him enjoy his sunshine, I should say, in Indiana while they've got it before it starts raining and having tornadoes again. Look, they have to. The Heat, how they're doing this with Band-Aids and, butter and what are they doing? I don't know how they're keeping this team together because they don't have Jimmy Butler. They don't have Terry Rozier. I know Tyler Hero and Bam Adebayo are still there. Kyle Lowry's playing for Philadelphia now. He was on that team last year. They have to. Boston, if you have any, and by the way, the Celtics gag more at home. So I'm banking. banking on them being away from home, it working to their benefit, because you know what Boston's home playoff record is since 2021? 13-14. That's a joke. That's a disgrace. Bill Russell, Tom Heinsohn, Sam Jones, we're rolling over their graves, ladies and gents. I would say Larry Bird, but he's still alive and kicking it. I think so is Bob Cousy. But those Celtics rates are rolling over in their graves. Get it done, Boston. Bye.
Well, if you remember what Dave was saying,
he's going to sell just to annoy me.
The key for Miami is Eric Spoelstra, the coach. He really puts it together. And in Dave's mind, maybe the best coach in the NBA right now. A whole lot of people will tell you that. They run their system. And, okay, Butler's gone. But the bottom line is this, and as a coach, I'll say it. Players win games, lose games. It's players. You got to have players. Yes, the coach, you got to make some decisions. You can tweak some things. You can get your team ready. But it's players. And I think in the long haul in this series, Boston just has too many. And I will make the statement that Boston loses and Miami goes and ties us at 2-2.
No. It's 1-1. It's not 2-2. It's 1-1. If they go up tonight and go up 2-1.
Boston's in the series. Because I had Boston in 5. So I'm going to give.
If they go up, Joe Mazzulla, you better check your pillow twice tonight when you go to sleep. That's all I got to say.
I'm going to
buy or sell.
I'll buy it because I think Boston will win it. I don't think Miami's going to hit 23 or more threes. I don't want to say they won't hit 23 threes and then we find out they hit 28. I was right.
They'll hit 22. They'll hit 22, and I'll be mad at you.
But I think Boston will make those adjustments, run them off the line, get them out of there, and make Miami try to beat us a different way than just sitting there hitting threes. But Boston, don't play around with this Miami team because Boston losing in these playoffs, especially right now, will be the story of the playoffs.
All right, we got number 3. We got 3 more. We got a bonus one, too. Would you like to read number 3? Yeah, read it. Go ahead.
Will or do I have to say Ed Young?
You can say Ed Young.
To win the National Hockey League Stanley Cup, the Dallas Stars respond from the 2-0 deficit against the Las Vegas Knights and rally.
Wow.
Oh, they're going to rally to win the whole thing.
You read that. You read that so fast. I mean, people are going. You read it like me on speed.
Well, first of all, I think our audience can read it anyway. So
okay.
not
if they're listening on Spotify or Apple.
Kindergarten was the best 4 years of your life, but I don't think a lot of our
they're listening on the podcast, they can't see it. They can hear us. So will Ed Young's pick to win the NHL Stanley Cup, the Dallas Stars, respond from their 2-0 deficit against the Las Vegas Knights and rally to win their opening round series? Buy or sell?
Buy it because I picked them to win Stanley's Cup. This ain't the Kelly Cup. It's the Stanley Cup. So they're going to have to do it.
The Stanley's Cup, it's not going to Big D. It's not going to Dallas, where you can say, how about them Cowboys and how about them Stars? You're going to be saying, how about them Edmonton Oilers who are winning Stanley's Cup over the New York Rangers who are just waxing the Washington Capitals, by the way, if you got it. But I told you last week, McDavid and Draisaitl, you're not stopping those guys out west. They will respond tonight and win Game 3 to give you hope. But then they will lose Game 4, win Game 5, go to Vegas for Game 6, and then it's Pate out of there, Stars. Ed Young's team is done. All right, there you go. What is next on our docket of buy or sell? I get to read the next one, right? That's how this works.
You got to do it.
Buy or sell. There were no quarterbacks taken in the second or third round of the NFL draft. The next one off the board will come in today's 4th round and be Florida State's Jordan Travis. I think the 4th round's underway right now. I'm going to say sell. He will not be the first quarterback taken today. I'm going to sell that.
I'm going to say sell because I think it's going to be the guy from Tulane, Pratt.
Oh, that's who I was going to say. Look at you, you thief! You took it right out of my board. How about that? I agree. It's going to be Pratt. I think it's. And you know who else it could be? I don't think Spencer Rattler hasn't been picked yet, has he? Rattler?
No, he hasn't been picked. He could be. Once upon a time, he was a first rounder, but that was once upon a time.
I think there's concerns with Mr. Travis with the injury. I think there is. I think there's a lot of concerns with Jordan Travis. I don't think he will be the first quarterback. So we agree. That was really ho-hum, cut and dry. All right, let's go to the next one. You want to read this one, sir?
The NFL's Offensive Rookie of the Year for 2024 season coming up will not be one of the 6 quarterbacks selected in the first round. Ooh.
You want to buy or sell that?
No Caleb.
So you're going to say it's going to be a running back, wide receiver, tight end like Brock Bowers?
Well, if the guy gets him the ball like he should.
Which guy is that going to be?
Going to be Marvin
Jimmy
Harrison.
G? Is he going to get him the ball?
Who's the quarterback for the Skylar, Skyhawk, Sky? Sky Snuffer. Who's Murray, the quarterback for
Kyler Murray.
Okay. If he can get him the ball, Marvin Harrison. Marvin Harrison is the most ready
Thank you.
NFL
Thank you.
right now. No question.
Thank you. Bird gang.
Bird was the word when they took Marvin Harrison. That was the quickest pick.
So
ever.
you're buying this like me?
Absolutely.
You're agreeing with me again.
I don't think any of the 6 quarterbacks. No.
Caleb
Williams will have the chance, but I really think it'll be somebody else. But now I would tell you this: they'll look hard at the quarterbacks because it's such a light shined on them for this draft. So, but
let's remind you that 2 of the last 3 offensive rookies of the year were not quarterbacks. C.J. Stroud of the Texans got it this past year from the Ohio State, but prior to him, it was Garrett Wilson, wide receiver for the Jets from the Ohio State, and wide receiver Jamar Chase for the Bengals from the LSU. So there you have it. All right, we got 2 more if you're ready for them. Actually, I think we got 1 more. I think we did 5, right? That's 5?
Yep.
I think we got 1 more. We got 1 more bonus one. I'm trying to find where it is.
Yeah, because I read 2, you read 2, so it should be number 5.
Wait. You read 2. Okay, so maybe we missed it. Did we skip over one? We did the Nuggets. We did the Heat. We did the Stars. We did we did 5. We did 5. We got 1 more. Here's the bonus one. Here's the 6th one. Let's get it right. John Calipari will win an NCAA tournament game at Arkansas before Mark Pope wins one at Kentucky. This was left over from Fact or Fiction, by the way, I understand, from a few weeks ago. We didn't squeeze this one in. Ooh, that's a good one. You want to go first on this?
Curry will win the NCAA tournament game before Mark.
I'm going to buy it. I'm buying it. I think Arkansas will replenish the roster eventually, and Cal will get the Razorbacks.
Yeah, because he's going to have half the Kentucky guys. So, yeah, they're going to win.
He's going to do it. I'm telling you, because that fan base – like Kentucky's, they're pretty.
I hate to say this because I don't know the guy, and I think he's a decent dude. Mark Pope's tenure at Kentucky will definitely not.
And Pitino's really pushing hard. I mean, he pushed hard for him to get that job, but he's just coming over the top with some of the. I'm like, that's a little much, Rick. A little much, Rick. Just over the top. So, by the way, I'm just now seeing some questions on Instagram before we sign off here. But before I get to those, that was probably my favorite place to be the last couple of years on the road with ODU. I actually did the men's pinch hitting for Ted Alexander on that call. That was great to be down there. Big Suey, those people are
Big Suey.
Maniacal.
We'll hear a lot of that next year with Calipari at Arkansas. They're going to be on TV a lot.
Our man F150 Ghost on Instagram. What we talking about today, fellas? Good to see you all. It's Leroy Ricks. We love Leroy, former Deep Creek basketball coach. Thanks for watching on Instagram today. And I did miss this from Kel.2027. Ask Coach, how did he feel about the freshman he had this year? I think that's the freshman. Can I ask questions? Yes, you can, Kel. He might have logged off by now, but go ahead. How'd you feel about the freshman you had this year?
The young man that played for us.
That's who it was, I think. He's watching the show.
Kel Mitchell is a gem.
He's
a great kid, great personality kid. He's a tremendous kid. He's talented. He's going to be good. He's a little frustrated. We played him a little bit more than I thought we would because we needed to play him. Started, I think, the last couple games at the old 5-post position for us. He's not really a 5. He's a basketball player. I love that kid dearly. A good, very good student, quiet, humble, great smile on his face. I'm going to miss him, to put it mildly. It kind of just touched the nerve for me because he's a good one. And,
well, we're glad he's watching on Instagram. Maybe he'll have some more questions for you in the future.
Well, not only that, if I get another high school job.
Oh, don't recruit. Don't do this stuff.
Well,
Look at you.
I get another high school job. I'm gonna make that. I'm gonna give that kid a nice NIL deal he cannot turn down.
That's going to do it for this show. We thank all of you for watching, listening, interacting with us. We'll do it again next Saturday in the month of May on Derby Day. For Ed Young and all of our people behind the scenes, from Nick Senti to Jack Lowe to Chuck Thornton and the entire Cova Sports TV gang, have a good one. Enjoy your final sports weekend in April. Go Celtics! Talk to you next week.